the consumer if you have a distribution center. Someone will order a product, you can package it, you can ship it to the consumer yourself. So all these are opportunities. The only challenge that the diaspora need to overcome is capital. All the things that I'm talking about require a lot of capital. We are talking of several, maybe $100 million. We do have a problem, and I'm going to point it here for us, is when we do business, I've come across us as the diaspora doing business kienyeji. Let us move away from kienyeji. There is no exporter in Kenya who is going to ship you 10 containers worth with goods worth $10 million through a handshake. You need to have a company, a registered company, meeting standards, have a financial background, then get the product here, market it, sell it, and make sure that the guy in Kenya gets paid. So all these are opportunities that, these are bare opportunities. I'm actually, as a shipper, I'm challenged. And I'm actually thinking of sealing one of those holes somewhere, but I need a lot of other guys to come and fill all the other gaps. Thank you.
I take up this question of what's the diaspora's power? Where does it lie? I think this is a multifaceted situation. What we are having is a significant lack of understanding of the diasporic community by those in Kenya, particularly policymakers. The Kenyan diaspora is the most hardworking, most technologically savvy diaspora, particularly of the African subcontinent, that this country has seen. The problem is we're not very well understood by the Kenyan government, and particularly even the Kenyan economy. So I'm going to challenge both sides, the Kenyan side and the diaspora side, because I'm a fairly newer returnee. I started reinvesting in Kenya in 2019. So I can speak to specific challenges that I have seen on this side and that side. People always speak about remittances. That's the easy one. But when you look even within the subcluster of remittances, we forget two things. Most remittances are sustenance and not investment. Most folks are sending money for medical care, parent care, school fees, and building a home in their village, right? And then you're often frustrated because you find out, you go back home and you found out instead of a bungalow, you have a shanty, right? Every diaspora person has a story, right? I can probably see the physical scars on your body of how many times you've been misled, stolen from, frustrated, to the extent that I always advise people these days, please go to JFK, spend $1,500 and go to Nairobi yourself, because you would lose a lot more than getting on that plane. So I want to respond to this from the diasporic frustrations. But then, where do we go from here? I want to challenge the diaspora by what my colleague just said. We need to stop disenfranchising our investments. We need to start really being serious and create vehicles for investments that are significant monies pulled together. For instance, the diasporic examples she gave of India and Israel, what those guys have found out is you can create a private equity fund, domicile it out of Cayman Islands. You don't have to trust me. We create instruments of accountability. We take 10 people who can raise $500,000. We take 20 people who can raise $250,000, and we find 5 people who can each raise $1 million. I know they all exist in the Kenyan diaspora community, but everyone is trying to do their own thing. We can't build an economy from individual investments. So we need to create private equity vehicles that have multiple investors, in which you have quarterly statements that are posted, in which you're not worried about someone stealing from you. But what that gives you, it gives you the opportunity to invest in something bigger and not just your own sustenance economy. Now, the other problem we're having, and I want to challenge our banking colleagues, for you to find an FDIC-insured commercial bank in the US. There are banks in the US that sell for less than $10 million. The remittances, we are missing the real power of the remittances. Remittances are useful when they are reinvested or saved, not when they are consumed necessarily. So how do we create, for instance, the ability for us in the diaspora to put money in a Chase debit or in a Huntington Bank debit or a Kenyan American banking debit for your folks to use their money as a tool for further investments and for savings? We can do that by one simple thing. We raise money, we get a bank that's licensed in the US, and we get a bank that's licensed in Kenya. It's very doable. It's very doable. We take charge of our remittances instead of Western Union and MoneyGram, okay? We compete. We don't even have to take 100% of the market. What if we took 5% of the market? It's significant if we controlled 5% of our remittances. Our folks on the Horn of Africa are doing it. The Somalia remittances don't go through Western Union and MoneyGram. They're 99% through Dahabshil and Hormuz and other vehicles of remittances. So we have to be serious. Both the diaspora needs to get serious and the Kenyan government needs to get serious by creating vehicles. Finally, what I want to say is we need to start creating a clearinghouse of information, of partnership building. For instance, when I was talking to my friend and he spoke about a warehouse and their interest in B2C, directly going to the consumer, I said, you have to understand the US. This is the other big frustration. A lot of Kenyans misunderstand the US. The US is like 50 Kenyas together. Let me repeat this. The US is 50 Kenyas combined and then some. The only comparative example to the US would be if Africa became a country. When I fly from Minneapolis to San Francisco, it's like me flying from Gaborone to Abuja. So when people say the US, no. We have to start thinking about how to do business with Tennessee, how to do business with Georgia, how to do business with Minnesota, how to do business with California, how to do business with Massachusetts, because that would be a better relationship for Kenyan economy. When you're directly finding someone in Memphis who has logistics, someone in Arkansas who can find what you need, and we create a diasporic clearinghouse relationship at your ministry that specifically does matchmaking so that we can now actually partner and we create not only just public-private investments, but diasporic Kenyan partnerships based on market intelligence. We don't have to force this. I'm going to conclude by saying business will generally find the solution it's looking for. If you're in Guatemala and you're looking for cement, and they tell you the best and most affordable cement is coming from Kenya, trust me, you'll go find it. We need not to force this, but we need to create the tools for us to do business in an intelligent, affordable manner so that the diaspora participates and does knowledge transfer. But you can't do that in a vacuum. You need to do that when we create the vehicles for success. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. That question seems to have created more questions. And before I come to you in the banking sector, a few things I want to point out. You are talking about, it should not just be about remittances. It should be something different. So, and KCB Group is after remittances. How do we then use your knowledge in the financial services sector to support Kenyans to do what they're talking about here? You talked about logistics. You talked about distribution networks. You talked about packaging. You talked about this whole range of things. We're also being challenged that the poverty diaspora lies in the fact that they live in different states. Therefore, they understand different ways of doing things. So that we don't just export to the US, but to export to a particular state. So from the banking perspective, how do we turn that around? For I know that out of the $100 that go home, nearly 80% goes to social support, consumption, education, and what have you. and very little goes into real investment that the earlier panel was talking about, real investment. So how, from the financial perspective, how do you help us to achieve that, to tap into this power of the diaspora?
Thank you so much. Let me start by saying the diaspora community plays a very positive role in first transferring skills. Let's say it as is. Second, bringing the much needed innovation. Because even if you look at the infrastructure, technological infrastructure in Africa, we are really lagging behind. But having said that, at least half of the continent now is connected. And then if you look at the entrepreneurial skills of the diasporans, none to match that. If you are comparing with Africa, the diaspora have the best entrepreneurial skills. Now, the second thing that we need to look at is then how do we consolidate these funds and make them meaningful? And if you have an opportunity to Google the story of Singapore, it was actually intentional that you say, yes, we do know that there is this money from the diasporans. We do appreciate that this money from the diasporans go to meet various needs. How do we facilitate the money to go direct to these various needs? And the one which is remaining for savings, it can be consolidated, just as my brother here has said, and invested in equity. You know, that's something that you've not done, and that's why we have to be intentional and say, can we consolidate this fund and then now invest? And invest where? In Africa. Let me give you an example. Food in Africa comes from elsewhere. There are tons and tons of food coming from out of Africa. If we say the first priority, we invest in food security in Africa, you already have the demand for your entrepreneurial skills. If you just go simplistic that way, look at the automobile sector. It's only South Africa that we talk about 1% of the vehicles are electric vehicles. That's where the world is going to. Look at that big opportunity. Look at the pharmaceutical. We import literally everything. What does that say? There's a business case that there's enough of demand in Africa. If you look at intra-regional trade in Africa, it's 15%. Go to Europe, 60%. Go to America, 40%. The Asian community is 30%. So what we are asking for here is that, can we come together and have instrument that can consolidate all these funds, and then thereafter we start investing, because there's no question about the demand. The demand, there is demand 100%. And then finally, look at the logistic and transport segment. This food must move from one place to another. So if you're looking for business case, there's business case. But my biggest question, why aren't we making that first step to create this conducive environment to consolidate this fund and thereafter invest? And we, as the commercial banks, are here to say, let's come together and start doing it and allow us enable that to happen. Thank you.
I can see somebody was choosing to stand before my time, and yet I cannot stone her. But these are the critical issues that are coming out of this conversation. That the power of the diaspora is so diverse, and that we can do so much when we tap into, one, diaspora as consumers, that's coming out very clearly. Diasporas as source of knowledge and innovation to produce more. Diaspora as, I can call them the last mile connectivity for Kenyan exporters into the various states. Either when Just Bed was talking about establishing a Kenya house, my thinking is, does government need to do this? No. It's for the diaspora to put their money together, you have put it, and I say, we have put up a warehouse in Atlanta. We have put up a warehouse in Dallas, in other places where there's what we call high consumption pockets? And how then do Kenyan exporters partner with you because you have put up warehouses, all right? We talk about understanding standards. I talked about that honey from Kerio Valley. And I was asking, how do I get to know how you achieved this so that this knowledge can go to other parts which are producing honey? Ukambani is a very clear example who produces a lot of honey, and other pockets in the drier parts of Kenya. How do we then get this understanding back home to support our exports into the US? You have talked about meat from Zambia, right? How do we understand the requirements for meat in the US from your perspective? Then we begin working backwards, that yes, we can export if we comply to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then how does the banking sector support us apart from investing? I always call it the personal economic survival activities, PESA, those little, that really what have you, to pulling together this huge resource, right? We talk about almost 4-5 billion US dollars every year. It's so much money. If that money could be put together, imagine the impact it would have on the Kenyan economy. But who can organize us in that space? Nuru, you want to shed light on that?
Yeah, it's not me who is doing it, but I wanted to say that you made a comment that I wanted to say that I don't think the diaspora should organize themselves without the support of the government. Because from my research, looking at Indonesia, Malaysia, Egypt, the government actually partners with private sector. I think China is an excellent example. Alibaba is the platform we need. We need a Kenyan version because that will create those linkages. And quite frankly, the Kenyan government benefits when there is a higher velocity of trade because you make more. So I do think, and Madam Anastasia is here representing the banks, I do think that through Kenya Bankers Association, for example, there is that opportunity for government to partner with the banking industry to create a platform that enables that linkage. But indeed, the diasporans need to have one voice. Not, like even in Atlanta, I think they're now, AKPA was the first, but now I think they're like 5 different networks, right? So it's and I think it's the same in many of the states, right? So diaspora needs to organize themselves, and then us on the Kenya side, I think banking is core and government is necessary. So I think I would say that.
I can just make a quick comment. When you guys design solutions, and this may not be working, look, we need to be very intentional if you want to be inclusive for the diaspora. I'll give you one quick example. Let's look at Kenya Airways. Everyone was excited when Kenya Airways started flying direct out of the US, right? But where do they fly from? JFK. How many of you have taken that flight and seen that 70% of the passengers started out of Dallas or Minneapolis or Boston? They're spending 3 hours to get to JFK. Then if I'm in Minneapolis, I'm trying to get to Nairobi. Sometimes I'm in Nairobi for 4 days. 4 days and I'm back to the US. Sometimes going to Amsterdam becomes more desirable because I have to leave Minneapolis and go to JFK. And if you have luggage, forget it because you're going to change terminals. No, there is a significant design flaw in the solutions you're creating because there's little effective diasporic input. We are in Dallas, we're in Atlanta, we're in Massachusetts, and we're in Minnesota. We're not in New York. If we are, we're in New Jersey, and there's very few of us. So we have to start inclusive, intellectual input in solutions because that's just one quick example, right? Even if you created connectivity, you can't check your luggage on KQ from Minneapolis, and you can't check it in from Dallas either. So just simple solutions like such agreements with an airline to check through American Airlines or Delta to get your cargo or your luggage to KQ. We have to start getting intentional in how we solve problems. And because we are the 48th county, I don't think people in Kenya realize, Mr. PS, you have a 48th county, and it's called the Diaspora County. You better harness it because it can be a tremendous net value gain for our country.
This conversation is becoming juicy, but we must move on. Yes. Just 2 quick ones, very quick. Then do you want us to take some questions from the audience?
Yes,
We'll
So,
take few questions.
some two quick ones. We take some questions from the audience, but you can see how things are getting better.
Yeah, I'll go back to my point of imports from Kenya into the US. That's where the opportunity is for me, and that's the missing link for imports to the US. The diaspora, people here in the diaspora do have a lot of money. I can tell you that we have people in the diaspora with accounts holding several $100,000, $1 million, and we can work from the US side. For us to be able to grow the imports into the US, I'll stop focusing on what's happening in Kenya. The guys, the business people in Kenya, the manufacturers can jump those handles, go through all those regulations on their own. I don't have to be there. I would focus on being here in the US. What can we do as a diaspora? Most of us maybe are not business people. We need business people to come together as a group, form a strong company, bring their resources together, bring together $2, $3, $4 million, and figure out how they're going to work with the manufacturers in Kenya, how they're going to work with the farmers, how they're going to work with the coffee estates, the tea estates, build a warehouse somewhere in the US, bring that coffee and tea here, work with the banks here. We don't need, I don't think I'll be able to work with banks in Kenya to finance operations here. We do have facilities to finance businesses here in the US. And if we can do that, we open big opportunities to bring stuff into the US, and most of us who will take this challenge have an opportunity to make money, and that's what I'm seeing.
Thank you for that.
Just a quick one. I think diaspora conversation has changed currently under the President Ruto. What my sister was saying, that we have so many sessions, it's okay. But the conversation has changed. Right now, we have a State Department that is really coordinating the diaspora affairs on all of us. We can come together as the diasporian for sure to have our own distribution center. The policy, and I'm very sure PS will be sharing maybe, the way you look at it, and we had a chance also to participate, the diaspora policy ourselves, and she gave us an opportunity, said, guys, how do you want us to structure you? And we shared our feedback. So I think there's a lot of changes that is coming from the government, and we are ready to partner with them. We are ready to support them. Just the interest of our people. I'm pro-diaspora, to be sure.
Over to you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Can we give a loud of applause to this team? Thank you, good job, moderator Michael Mando and the panelists. That was very great discussions. I'll give Q&A. Please, I may just do two. So if you have a burning question, wow, this table.
Thank you very much. sorry. Thank you very much. My name is David Mutua. Na mimi ni Mkenya. I'm from Ohio. And my question is, because I'm facilitating a delegation to come to Ohio, which is Ohio government has given. We've talked to the governor. We've talked to the structures, the Chamber of Commerce. We're actually partnering with the Chamber of Commerce to see if we can bring a delegation. Actually, next week, we've been accepted. Ohio has accepted, to bring a delegation to come to a table and have discussions. Things like import and export, money and all that, the things that we can do together. As diaspora, I'm here talking, saying, I'm facilitating this. What is it that we can do together? Like next week, if we can start next week and then we start from there. And one thing I want to say with diaspora, let's challenge ourselves and get to the governments, talk to the governors so that we can start the structures from there, kind of building these structures together with these governments. So I've started that with Ohio. We have been accepted. There's an invitation on the table for even our president to come anytime, and other delegations. And I can facilitate that as next week. So please, we are looking forward to that.
Before you answer that question, because we want to move fast, I want you to get that so we can answer all the questions together. Just be brief.
Thank you. My name's Salad Ali. I'm the founder and the CEO of a company called Go Shipping Cargo, based in Kenya and mostly most of the major cities in the world. Actually, I had more, the relationship today we are talking about, the only thing can be solved is logistics. And we believe the diaspora maybe mostly they don't understand the knowledge about the logistic of shipping goods from USA to Kenya and shipping goods from Kenya to USA. Mostly is that the current government nowadays has given a lot of opportunity in terms of what's called pre-entry. If you want to ship goods from USA and you want to have a small Amazon in Kenya selling a lot of goods from here, I think nowadays people they're sending the goods to DHL and FedEx. That one doesn't help you. It only increases your costs and you can't sell that goods in Kenya. The same applies the way Noha says. If you want to have a small Alibaba in the goods of Kenyan products to here, I think sending goods with international companies. I wish Mr. Chairman supposed to be here, but he left. Concerning about the manufacturers, we have seen a lot of time Kenyan manufacturers signing contracts with the DHL and FedEx. It would bring, bottom up means dealing with the local companies who has more knowledge and can do a lot of things and give you the solutions. There's what's called conciliation cargos. If you want to ship goods here for the SMEs, you cannot ship through paying 100% of tax. But if you send through conciliations, you can save a lot of costs. So maybe if you want to do a lot of business from Kenya to there, you can see Go Shipping CEO here giving more consultations about it.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll have one more, and that's it, and then we can answer. Yes?
Thank you, Kate. I am Philip Masila Mutisha, Professor of Education, North Carolina Central University in North Carolina, soon retiring June 30th to go full-time working with what we have created as Diaspora Outreach Development Foundation. Outreach, which touches all that, and we're not just focusing on Kenya only, but also in the whole continent, the 55. So that's coming. And you will see information up front in the desk, but my question is, since we're talking about trade, I need you please to explain how the trade policy is. We don't hear that, we do not know, we don't even reference it. Second, how do we establish as diaspora, connecting with each other here and being advocates, lobbyists, like other diaspora people, to actually relax not only export-import tariffs, but relationship to get a visa, to go do a business, come do a business here. I see even government leaders being refused a visa to come here. That shows that we are not in front of advocacy to educate the government here and to be able to have a free trade. That means you have to free transportation in terms of open trade. So there is a big learning curve there. I just wanted to ask how do you communicate, Minister of Foreign Affairs in the diaspora now, how do we as diasporan help in terms of alleviating that problem with open trade and exchanges?
Thank you for all the ones who asked the questions. Please summarize that, and we can wrap this up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know some hands want to fall off because they wanted to ask questions, but it's too late. Panelists, there are very interesting questions here. And I'll not to allocate to anyone in particular, but one, how do we partner with the Kenyans in diaspora to facilitate trade missions? I think that's what I was asking, trade missions into US. That's question one. The second question is, we have diasporans who are doing some logistics, right? But how do we stick to UPS and stick to DHL and what have you? How do we make it possible for Kenyan MSME operators who want to export into the US to use logistics facilities and the companies that are run by the diaspora? And finally, how do we help to connect these diasporans? What is it that we can do as government so that you can talk more freely with one another, create better connections than has been the case. These are the key questions. So maybe, how do I begin this? Our colleagues logistics can speak to logistics. Nuri will speak to policy aspects. How do we do this? Then I'll leave the other question to the two gentlemen and one lady. How do we make it easier for diaspora to connect to one another? How do we organize joint trade missions with them to these states? All right? In no particular order, or you want to give the first go? No, you spoke last. Let me give Nuru.
Thank you. I think in terms of advocacy, the reason why I said one voice, it's okay to have many SACCOs, many associations in the US. I'm not lobbying for consolidation. But when it comes to engaging with government, you have to have one voice. So I think it's important that the different networks that are there start. It's almost like the model is called collective impact. There's actually a model that's called collective impact that guides you on how, when you have many different organizations with the same goal, you create a framework to share knowledge and work together without ceding your mandate, right? So I think it's important that through Danson and other networks, I think it's important that the diaspora associations, SACCOs and networks start one collective body, because that way you have a harmonized, unified voice to the government. I think it's important. The other point about policy, why I brought up Kenya Bankers Association, because that's at the advocacy and policy level, and they can definitely engage. The banking industry needs to be engaged from a policy perspective. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to add.
You are dying to go.
Yes. We have a suggestion to government to have Kenya Diaspora Council as the body that can work on the unity for the diaspora. A legislative proposal of having the Kenya Diaspora Council that will coordinate with the government. Number two, our missions are far away. Our trade attaché is based in Washington, D.C. Business is in Atlanta. Business is in Dallas. So we need the trade offices, Kenya trade offices. In some of the substantive regions, we have a good population of Kenyans. They will coordinate with your office so faster, because we are like 8 hours. If you want to reach your office or you want to reach someone from government, it's a process. Also, if you want to engage the locals, the local community in Atlanta, and telling them we need to go to Washington, D.C. before you can meet our ambassador, it's quite challenging. So let us have the trade office. It will bring us together and coordinate us more.
Moderator, we have 2 more minutes. So 1 minute, 1 minute.
Logistics.
Yes.
Then the two can share a minute.
Can I do that?
Yes.
Yes, I'll address the issue of how we can bring the diaspora together through the help of the government. And I'll start by going back to the government, saying that I believe we do have a business attaché at the embassy. Unfortunately, as I've been doing business since 2002, I've not had a business attaché reach out to me, shipping to Kenya. I would like the government business attaché at the embassy to reach out to the Kenyan diaspora, find out what we can do, and help us with the problems that we run into. Business people do not see problems. Problems are opportunities for business people. But these opportunities, we cannot be able to exercise them unless the government facilitates us by creating an environment that is conducive for business. We actually do not need the government to do business for us. All we need is for the government to create a conducive environment for us to be able to import things into the US from Kenya and going through the handles with the help of the business attaché at the embassy.
Thank you, thank you.
No, those two gentlemen, just a minute. He's in yellow, so give me a yellow card. Before I could receive the yellow card because of his tie,
Yes.
she gave me a red card.
Yeah.
But just
do
1
the
minute
closing
for the two.
remarks and we move on.
Sure. Look, the gentleman from Ohio, thank you very much. What you're doing is exceptional. So I'll just say do more of that, but find what your local state is good at, okay? And build relationships with the 47 counties, not just the national government alone, right? So you can link up, say, Bungoma or even Kakamega or even Wajir County or whatever place, look at specific linkages and do more of what you're doing. And then I encourage others who are in other states, find what your state is good at. If you're in North Carolina, if you're in the Raleigh-Durban corridor, you're a biotech state. If you're in Massachusetts, you're in tech state. If you're in San Francisco, you're a tech state. So look at what you're good at and what your linkages would make. And then let's just get serious. Like, for me, I'm not really big on this whole issue of unity. Entrepreneurship is about disruption. It's about creating solutions. So don't pay too much attention on this unity stuff. Find the PS's number and call him.
Thank you, thank you.
Finally, if there is a problem, then you will come up with a solution. That's the challenge I'm throwing to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
thank
finally,
you.
thank you very much for the opportunity. For those of you who are here, get hold of anybody from the State Department for Diaspora Affairs. They have my contact, both telephone number and mobile number and email. I'm very easy to reach. So on that note, thank you very much for giving us your audience.
Thank you.
A round
Thank
of applause
you.
for the panel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's appreciate the panel, the moderator. Thank you so much, guys. You did so great. We are ready for the next session. We are next going to collaborate about tech. So the panelists, the moderators, come over here, make your way to the podium. We are ready for the next session. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, everybody who is in collaboration in tech, we need you here.
Kenya, Kenya taifa letu, Kenya, Kenya, Kenya nchi yetu, Kenya, Kenya, Kenya taifa letu, Kenya, Kenya, Kenya nchi yetu. Kanyaga nchi yako kwa nguvu na raha, hilo ni hakikisho la rais wetu. Zamani tuliwekwa ati namba 4, sasa about tani tuko namba 1. Kenya, Kenya, Kenya taifa letu, Kenya, Kenya, Kenya nchi yetu, Kenya, Kenya.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you. And the air conditioning in the house has been adjusted, so you should be okay. So this is pretty heated discussions, very intense, very beautiful. I wish we had more time, but we're going to talk about collaboration for growth in tech. We have a moderator, Rose Mosero. She's a Deputy Data Commissioner, Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. So I'm going to turn over this to Rose, and she is going to moderate this session. We're going to make it only 30 minutes because of time. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. Our conversation will be on tech specifically. We've heard a lot of conversation about investments, but we'd like to understand how that plays a part, or how that plays into the tech space. So with me today, I have a very vibrant and very knowledgeable panel. I'll have them introduce themselves, but I can't, I guess protocols prohibit me from having the PS introduce themselves. So I'll introduce my PS, Engineer John Tanui. He can just say a few words, and then I'll have the rest of the panelists say something.
Thank you. John Tanui, Principal Secretary for ICT and Digital Economy. A great pleasure to be here today and interact with diaspora. These are very important stakeholders for us as we look at how to accelerate Kenya's growth in the digital economy and seeing how we can lay a firm foundation for Kenya to rise as a tech country, especially linking with US, a global leader in technology. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. My name is Dr. Stephen Kamano Ishada. I'm a technologist by training. I've been in Atlanta over 25 years, so I welcome each and every one of you to Atlanta. I'm extremely interested in having this conversation about what tech means and the future of tech for Kenyans as enabled by the diaspora.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Josephine Dambuki. I'm also a technologist by training. I'm also the Chief Manager, Business Development and Innovation at Konza Technopolis. And I'm so excited to be here with you this evening to carry on a conversation on the role of diasporans in the development of their countries, and specifically in partnership with projects such as Konza Technopolis. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kennedy Mukuna. I am a co-founder at a tech startup called Chapi. I'm actually one of the diaspora who went to school here and then moved back home to start a tech business. So I'm very excited to be on a panel that actually will speak to issues that I've seen and hopefully can get addressed.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Dr. Geoffrey. I have a tech company. Our main goal is to do upskilling for those who either want to get into tech, those who want to use tech to complement what they're doing, or those who start a whole new career in tech. So some of the programs we do is data analytics, data science, coding classes that happens for anyone from the age of 5. Our intention is to make sure that AI becomes part of Kenyan system, because I believe it's through education, through technology, through adoption and acquisition of technology that we are here going to change the face of Kenya. So I'll tell you more about what we're doing, and I'm excited because the conversation here not only close to my heart, but is so critical for the future of our generation to come. Thank you
so much for that. And I'll start with a question to the PS. You've mentioned what we do and how you want to make, or how we want to make Kenya an attractive destination, specifically when it comes to tech investments. So what is Kenya doing, the government specifically, to ensure that we can get digital jobs to Kenyans?
We are very keen to see that Kenya cross its digital economy and to see that the digital economy contribution to the national GDP cross. World average currently is about 15%. In Kenya, we are about 7%. We want to accelerate so that we can achieve the world's average of 15%. One of the things we are doing is addressing national connectivity, broadband connectivity. We've done very well in mobile broadband, mobile call penetration, but in the fixed broadband connectivity, where most of the jobs will be able to be accessed, that's what we are doing. You've heard about the 100,000 additional kilometers in our ICT infrastructure. This will ensure every part of the country is connected, and we expect to connect up to every ward. We are also building digital hubs, one in every ward, 1,450, to provide platforms for learning and connection to job opportunities. We believe in that space is where we will unlock huge opportunities of jobs, and we've started seeing the benefits. We've seen business process outsourcing, centers setting up in Kenya. There was a launch about 2 weeks ago on one by CCI with a capacity of 5,000, and they already had another 4,000. The BPO space can give us about call centers about 500,000 jobs. The whole BPO and IT enables jobs as a country. We can be able to get 1.5 million jobs. But this can only be achieved if we partner with diaspora. IT outsourcing is a huge business opportunity that our diaspora can do. We've seen a few diaspora who has come to Kenya, set up a small BPO, IT-enabled services, able to have 20, 50 engineers, IT, and provide. So that's a space that we see jobs being created. We also want to attract global tech to the country. We are very proud of what Microsoft have done. They've set up a development center in Kenya. They employed 500 engineers. They started with 100 and grew to 500. And we felt it. Tech companies felt it because they lost the best. As an IT person, I'm an engineer. Once you're working in Savaricoms or in leading banks like KCP, at times you have nowhere to expect to go next. But when Microsoft established its development center, they were able to create the next level opportunities of jobs. And we've become very attractive. That's a space that we want to grow. We also think there are new emerging areas that hopefully we can discuss. And those are some of the initiatives we are taking to unlock opportunities for work.
Thank you so much for that, PS. Going to Dr. Geoffrey Ouma, you specialize in the edtech sector. Obviously, with the digital jobs, there is a need for upskilling. What are some of the initiatives that you're taking? But also, what are some of the challenges that you're experiencing in terms of bringing 7net to Kenya?
Yes, 7net is really trying to do what PS has just talked about. Earlier in the day, I was talking to him and I was telling him, PS, we need to have AI as part of the education system. And we agreed. He asked me a question, and I think with Engineer Rege, we are going to make sure that we see what can be done so that our kids can learn AI. Because I will tell you this for sure, nothing in the life of humankind has ever disrupted our system like AI is doing. There's no shortcut about AI. Either you adopt it, be part of it, or be totally out of it. The best you can do now is to make sure that you integrate it as part of our life. Now, at 7net, our main mission is to bridge tech gap for African community. Now, there has been a challenge that Africa does not compete with other global nations. I'll tell you, statistics says that 9 out of 10 African child or African children do lack basic literacy, and that includes IT. What are we doing? And that's where the 7net comes in. I grew up a young man at the age of 12, lost my parents, grew up in the village. It was so hard to get myself to school. Today I'm here talking about a child who went to school, became the best child in primary school, the best child or student in high school, went to do a diploma degree, master's, and a PhD. And I'm happy that I represent that person down there who is suffering, a child who needs hope. And that's why 7net not only offers training to people in America, but we are also doing the same to people in the village. Today, as I sit here, 2 years ago, 7net was born, and we have impacted the life of Kenyans. We've had over 70 children graduating from our school. We've had over 10 people employed under 7net. We've gone out to impact the basic knowledge, the skill that is needed for someone to be able to sit in the village of Karachuonyo, where I come from, but still have a dream. They can have a job and be competitive with somebody who works at Microsoft, who had the best life in the world, but they still believe that outsourcing is part of what the government talk about, and that's where we come in. Now, our part will be to facilitate. As a trainer, we facilitate what the government wants or what is being needed to make sure that you get there. Now, apart from doing that, we are looking for partnership. Today, I want to announce here, we've partnered with one of the counties in Kenya, and we are going out to roll out the program to over 47 counties to make sure no one is left in the digital era. And we are calling upon everyone, be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. But education's not the only issue that comes into play. And I'll direct this now to Mukuna. Mukuna, you've got a tech solutions company. You experience challenges, obviously, when it comes to coming into the Kenyan space. Are you able to talk about what those challenges are, but also the opportunities that you're seeing specifically even when it comes to engaging more Kenyans to actually participate in the businesses that you're trying to grow?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to give a bit of a preview, we basically work with finance teams in fast-growing businesses to help them get a lot of visibility into how well the business is doing in terms of their own money. It's a time ages-old problem, which I think technology has slowly become a very good solution for, and advances in AI have actually particularly helped. Now, to your question that you actually asked, there are a few bits that I think I've shared privately, and I think I'll also try to summarize that for this forum. We're getting to a place where I think as you're investing in technology, as tech startups, some of the most expensive labor components in the market right now are actually engineering talent. Microsoft has done a really good job of what the PS was mentioning about a lot of what we're able to basically shoulder as a cost of engineers. And there's a lot of R&D work that we have to do just to really be able to solve the problems at the scale that we hope to solve them at. Right now, there's probably selected parts of the economy that get like incentives to actually pump money into R&D. And we think that a really good opportunity for us as tech startups is to actually get some ability to even recoup some of that R&D cost, so we can keep paying the engineers as what they deserve to actually produce solutions for Kenyans and even for markets outside Kenya. So which kind of brings me to my second point. I still believe that, and I think a while back I used to work in manufacturing and analysis of export analysis. I think about 40 to 45% of our exports are services. And a big opportunity that we have as Kenyans right now is to actually export these services abroad. I'm really excited to see a case where like Chapi or like any other startup that we have here can actually be based in Kenya and sell those services to, let's say, the city of Atlanta, for instance. And for me, the more I've looked at this space, I've realized one thing. If we are able to get basically bilateral partnerships that allow us to get like soft landing programs, and not telling the government to do our work in terms of business development or making sure our product makes sense. But could we get to a place where like even understanding how regulation works in this country, how to get through the tax situation and things of that nature, if those go into some of the trade and investment agreements that are being signed with the US, I think that will really get us in a powerful position. And we've seen a lot of countries benefit from things like this: Israel, India, things of that nature. And I think the last thing I want to talk about now is just around the government itself. And I think there's been a lot of push around helping small businesses grow and getting us to be really powerful in terms of our growth story. You can do a lot in terms of like empowering the small business offices within the different entities that exist in government. So I know we have, massive procurement capability as a government in Kenya. Let's get some of us as tech companies to be in those small business programs so that we can provide those solutions to the government at this particular point. So that's what I can say in a nutshell.
Wonderful. And before I come to my other two panelists, I think that's a question that's been posed to the PS, and I think even in Dr. Ouma's statement, there was something that perhaps needs to be clarified or clear. So PS, to you, there's a lot that the Kenyan government is doing in terms of leading the charge to ensure that we're creating an enabling environment, whether it's for tech startups or for companies in Kenya looking to set up, or even companies that are already set up wishing to export their business to other jurisdictions such as the US. Are you able to tell us a bit more about this?
I want to agree with the comments they have put forward. More specifically, the potential for Kenya is export of services. This is where we can have quick win as a country, and we are advantaged because we have great talent. I think our biggest resource as a country is the human capital. The investment which the country has done in our talent over the years, we could say is our biggest asset. When we see Microsoft setting up a development center, when we see Amazon Web Services putting up a development center, it's a validation of that fact. But now we want to see the Kenyan enterprises now rising and exporting these services. What I would want to encourage those who are in that space is to engage government. You are the one who knows where the shoe pinches. Engage us, tell us exactly what you want us to address. We've done this with the global tech companies who are eyeing to enter our country. They have given us their issues. We list them and we work with them, and we've been able to address most of the issues to improve the investment climate in Kenya. The other part is how to improve the export of services. I think one of the things is there were some taxes removed on export of services, which was one of the 9 things we were working on. And we want to do more, especially for our Kenyan enterprises who can scale and export services, create jobs for our people. So if there are specific issues that need support from us, we are ready to facilitate that. And if it is putting as part of the issues in our bilateral trade negotiation, we are ready to do that. And we just want to mention, we've seen quite significant progress of even a partnership between Kenyan enterprises and, in this case, American companies. And we've seen the synergy created, and we are able to see better outputs. So that's also what we want to encourage our Kenyan SMEs. The quickest way to grow and to expand is also through partnership, collaboration, linking up with companies in this country so that we can leverage the strengths of the 2 countries. So I think those are the things I would put.
Absolutely, wonderful. And to that, I'll go to Dr. Ichapa. Hopefully I've said it correctly. You've worked in Kenya, you worked in the US, you understand, I guess, the needs when it comes to even big tech and what, I guess, Kenyan companies, specifically when it comes to tech companies, needs to actually have to grow. So what are some of the things that you see, and there's a statement that's constantly said by the US government, the US ambassador to Kenya, why Kenya? So for you, why Kenya?
That's a really good question. So in addition to being a technologist, I've been privileged to be able to teach both in Kenya and the US. And so with that in mind, I've had the opportunity to see how digital readiness works in both of them. But specifically, why Kenya? I think we need to stop thinking of transitional steps towards technology and build big dreams. And the biggest dream that I can see for Kenya is for us to stop talking about tourism, about farming, about all those things and say the reason to say yes to Kenya is because of technology. And here's a specific thing we can do. I would like us to have a dream to build the first data center, the first network infrastructure in Kenya so that we can attract the digital and network infrastructure that can power all of Africa. Now, by saying yes, we can to that, then that helps us understand what type of jobs would be needed to build a data center in Kenya. Do we have people who know logistics and supply chain? Yes. Do we have people who understand geology? Yes. Do we have chemical, mechanical, electrical engineers? Yes. So I think sometimes when we think about tech, all we think about is the software and the cloud computing layer. But there's all these jobs that we can actually, by saying yes, be able to provide for Kenyans. So I would say this, let us dream big. Let us make big ambitions, and let us not be touting just tourism and agriculture. To come to Kenya is because Kenya is indeed a digital savannah, and you can find the first data center there. That's what I want to tell the ambassador.
Wonderful. And to you, Jocelyn, which just goes right into what Konza does. You've heard what Dr. Chada has said. How exactly does that fit in with what Konza is doing? You've got an ambitious, I guess, portfolio when it comes to building Konza as not just a Silicon Savannah, but the face of the Silicon Savannah, a smart city. What are you doing in terms of investing in tech, enabling innovation, enabling research for that innovation? What does Konza have to offer?
Thank you very much. And I think this question comes right after a very good challenge is thrown to us. So I think I want to invite the diasporans to an amazing project that the government of Kenya has thought about and is implementing. And this is Konza Technopolis. So Konza Technopolis is a place and a platform. And it is an ambitious objective to transform Kenya into a knowledge economy. When you think about knowledge economy, you look at a place that is powered by knowledge, data, research, innovation, commercialization of innovation, and just application of emerging technologies for development. And that is what is happening at Konza. So I know some of you might have heard about Konza and they are wondering when will we have this city. But as we speak, we are starting to realize the reality of this phenomenal project that is being developed. And why am I saying it's phenomenal? It's because at Konza, we are building a smart city and a science park and an area of innovation. And as a smart city, you expect that we are developing some of the best technologies. So we have the first vacuum-based waste collection system. We have a water system that recycles up to 70% of water and reticulates that for usage. We now have 2 universities. The first one, the first open learning university that was chartered last year in September, and right now has 2,000 students and 11 nationalities represented. We have the postgraduate research university that is just about to open its doors and is built and anchored and mentored by the Korea Advanced Science and Technology, that is the KAIST. And another connection is that the Korea KAIST was mentored by Stanford University. And so as you start to see these clusters opening up, we create spaces for collaborations on research, innovation, and commercialization of that innovation. At Konza, we have the first national data center, a Tier 3 uptime certified data center, platinum, actually the first in Africa to be certified. And so we are looking at a place that allows for innovation and startups to create locally, contextually relevant solutions to power the African needs. And so why is this important? It is important because when you look at the transformation of the world economies, Africa holds the highest potential. With 1.3 billion people and growing up to 2 billion in the next few years, most of the global tech companies are actually looking at Africa. And so why should we not create these solutions in Africa? And so at Konza, we have developed the App Store. There is Google App Store, there is Apple App Store, and we are now ambitiously taking up the Silicon Savannah App Store. And we want to ensure that African solutions, African innovations can be accessed from an Africa Play Store. And these can be commercialized and can be developed. And how are we doing this? Is through collaborations. We recognize that the startups, the SME businesses, the innovators are all over the world and also in Kenya. And so what we are doing is that we are bringing them together and supporting them to actually create and commercialize these solutions. And so that means, therefore, that there is a space for each one of us. Wherever we are, and as Konza we are saying, Kenya has exported a lot of talent. We have some of us working in most of the best companies in America and in the world. And how can you use that to build back your country? And this is a model that has been leveraged by economies such as Korea. They took their people to the diaspora, they went land, and they have transformed their country into a first world economy. And so we are looking at leveraging the same model. Come back home, come to Konza, let's work together to create solutions in your sectors. And our focus areas is IT and IT-enabled services, life sciences, and emerging technologies and engineering. So we are saying that bring that talent, and that talent could also be your networks. Right now, we have an ambitious project to create 1 million jobs enabled by technology. Some of us are working in companies that are exporting the BPO. They have the jobs and they are connecting them. Let us connect them back home so that we can create jobs for many people. We're also looking at funding. You know, most of us, some of us are working in organizations that are investing very significantly in developing countries and in countries such as Kenya. We are there to create those projects and bid together and get those resources so that we can build the country and build the knowledge economy of the country. For the academia in the room, with the KAIST, we are looking to create a research for commercialization purposes. For those who have worked in these spaces, what are the models that are working here? What can Kenya learn? we have a chance to really use that to make a difference in our country. And so I think for me is to say we have a platform. It's not that we don't know where to start. We have this phenomenal opportunity to really bring and plug in and work together and commercialize, create values and go to the market so that we can increase both our individual incomes and our national development priorities as we transform the country into an industrializing economy. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Jospin. And I feel like there should be a connection between Dr. Uma Mukuna and Konza to ensure that there is growth there. One of the things that and I'll give everyone just a minute to talk about this. It's been recurrent as a theme across across the conversation that we're having, whether it was when we were having our one-on-ones outside or here, collaboration, partnerships. So can we just in one sentence, if you can, or as brief as you can, one sentence might be too short, talk about how partnerships and collaboration would actually benefit your organization, and what sorts of partnerships and collaborations you're looking for as well.
I would say this. Yeah. So one of the ICT opportunities available for anyone in Kenya and here is partnership. Now, apart from partnership, there are many ways. You talked about something very important. Now, partnership could be industry partnership, global partnership, government partnership, right? There are a number of partnerships that can happen. Now, in earlier speech, I talked about partnership that we're already making with the schools, with the county government, and I believe that we need to desist from the conversation of brain drain to brain share. Very important. So I believe that strategic partnership that we are going to make will be, number one, help in accelerating technology. It will help in saving cost. It will help in government initiative that she talked about, IT-enabled services. I know there's Jinue, is it Jinue? And then there's digital, Ajira Digital, okay? So those are the good initiatives. But again, we want to come in. We want to come in to partner. So one of the things we want to do, I mean, this is very important. From the statistics, last year, global remittance was 4.2 billion. This year, the first quarter, we already have 1.2 billion sent. Now, that is part of it. We have direct remittance, direct investment that we were already doing at our level, right? But you want to partner with the government. You want to partner with the government agencies and entities like Konza. Now, what we want to do is sit on a round table. Look at what you want from us, what it is that we can offer, what the government can offer, because our mission is the same, to make sure that we make Kenya the IT place where anyone else can be able to get best skills, cost-effective, well-skilled, rounded, citizens who can be able to support the project like outsourcing and many other government projects. And we are ready. We want to have a conversation. The time is too short. But if you tell me today, let's have a meeting, I'll be more than ready. And that's what I'm proposing from the government and the government agencies. Let's make sure that we sit around the table and make sure that we improve the services, support the people, and not forgetting the future. Because as we talk about current, there's sustainability, that we use what we have now, but take care of the future, because we don't need to exhaust all the resources. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mukuna, I'll ask you a slightly different question, but you can answer the last one that has been mentioned. You raised a very important issue when it comes to companies such as yours, or just tech startups generally, and this is funding. Investments, specifically investments when they come from Kenya or the Kenyan diaspora. What is your feeling about this, and what can you encourage people when it comes to even investing in companies that will then affect or grow the tech space in Kenya?
Yeah, so I'll start with a small anecdote. Our startup is funded, we've raised quite a bit of capital across time, and I would say maybe 80% of that capital has come from outside Kenya. And when we talk to Kenyan investors saying that you guys understand the problems, we're trying to solve what's going on, the main issue has always been around either about a tax issue or the strength of the laws in terms of investor protection. And so you'll find and it's not unusual, everyone knows here, every startup will go to Delaware and incorporate in Delaware and then start raising funds from there. There's a big opportunity, and I think with the whole SEZ conversation, getting some really powerful things around the financial center that we have within the Treasury, empower that to be something that investors can recognize. So we have a lot more money coming from diaspora, knowing that there's good investor protection that can actually flow back into our startups. If it's okay, I can answer the other question as well. I had a few things I wanted to say. The first thing is just to kind of double back on the bilateral question. There are three things that come to mind. I think I talked about taxation, like export of services into the US. It could have what is done within AGOA happen on the tech services side. That'll be really fantastic. This immigration. Right now, if you're trying to set up a company in the US, you're kind of working on the visitor's visa. It's a 6-month visa. You guys know it's very difficult to do anything useful in 6 months. So there's something that could be done on that perspective that'll be really powerful. And I think the last bit I would say is more on the kind of the operational side of things. What kind of sales strategy should we be thinking more about? Which small business development center should we know in the US and kind of talk to as well? The second part of that is actually to the corporates in the room. I saw KCB, who we love dearly, Safaricom as well. Any vibrant tech ecosystem needs connectivity, which the government is doing a fantastic job around. High quality human capital, which our kids are going to school. He's an example. He started from the bottom, now he's here. And then the third piece now is the corporate people really providing a platform that we can work together on. I would love a case where, you guys are able to give us, even as we walk into some of these opportunities, trying to fight for ourselves in the American market, let's walk into this market together. You guys have this risk management framework. You understand, you're moving to DRC for I think I've seen KCB buy quite a bit of stuff. Equity has done the same thing. Let's export that template around here and make our country what it's supposed to be. So that's it.
Wonderful. I can see the MC gearing to close this session. So if we just have...
Yeah, we'll have Q&A.
Okay, wonderful. If you just allow just less than a minute for everyone to just state the question around collaboration or an answer around collaboration and partnership would be very good. And then we'll take 2 questions. Josephine.
Thank you. So for collaboration, I'll speak to 2 very practical ones. One is that last year in December, we hosted the Diaspora Homecoming in Konza. And one of the agreements was to form to have an investment specifically for the diasporans in Kenya. And that is going on in the diaspora affairs. So I hope all of you will take part and find out how can you be part of that project that is specifically established for the diasporans of Kenya at Konza Technopolis by the Ministry of the Diasporan Office of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The second one is that we need support across different platforms. As developing the startup for the Silicon Savannah, we are looking at how can we transform the funding of the startups. So we say we are the highest investable by the venture capitalists, but what if that investment was coming from Kenyans in diaspora that are investing in our startups and we're able to grow those from Kenya? So we have those opportunities for you to actually apply yourself in your intellectual capacity to build. And therefore, I invite you to be a friend of Konza, which is a model that allows you to come in with your expertise and support the development of the science park and area of innovation at Konza. We'll be able to discuss investments opportunity. We can invest as an individual, as a group, as a chama, as friends. So all that will be possible for purpose of discussion.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We need to wrap this up. Rose, please.
Sorry, if you just...
Yeah.
Just
maybe 2-3 seconds, but we need to get some questions.
That's fine.
Collaboration is about trust. I encourage the Diaspora Office to create a trust bank. And let's not forget, they are also the children of American-born children of Kenyans who are here. And it's the responsibility of diaspora in Kenya to maintain that pipeline to help with the remittance that was talked about.
Thank you so much. And
we can go to the questions and then I can talk at the end.
Wonderful. Go for it.
Thank you. Let us give a loud of applause for this team. Wow. There is a lot of opportunity in collaboration in the growth of tech industry, and everybody needs to know tech, because that's going to advance you in every area you are working on. So quickly, we're going to have 2 questions. So we're going to have a gender balance here. So let me have you. I don't know, you can introduce yourself. And then we're going to have you answer the questions together.
My name is Engineer James Reggae. I'm based here in the US. We teach the kids to prepare themselves for the future in high tech with Dr. Mako Uma. We teach them very high technology. Otherwise, I want to talk for the diaspora in this house. I believe I'm the oldest diaspora in this country. I came here in 1974. I went to school, built satellites for 30 years. Then I went home. And I'm so happy to see friends like the PS, ICT. I'm so happy to see the lady talking about Konza City. And everybody in Kenya is enjoying undersea cable. Undersea cable, Konza, those are my brainchild when I was PS. I'm so happy that the president appointed this time someone who is responsible for diaspora, and that is you. Thank you so much, because you will hear our cries. When we are talking about development and investment in Kenya, we should be truthful to ourselves. Twice now, in the mid-90s, I went home to become the second GSM network operator. I was told that you don't belong to the right community. I'm sorry to say that. And I'm saying that because I'm bitter. Second time, and that is this time. My question is coming. Just allow me, PS. Second time is I went to Kenya to ask for frequencies to do data network. The frequencies is not a lorry, it's not a car. And I don't want it for free. I have investors in this country with 2 frequencies only. Kenya wants 11 billion Kenya shillings. I have investors ready, but I'm being told that talks are going around wondering whether I have money in the bank. Sometimes they are wondering whether I'm from Nigeria. Now, the question to PS, is it because I'm black? If you think I'm black, you would not be talking about Konza. You would not be talking about undersea cable in the country. And I know that because you are CEO of Konza before. Today, I received a letter telling me that, I'm a very bitter person. I received a letter telling me that, sorry, we went to the owners of the frequencies. This is by Communications Authority, but they were told that there's no frequency. I know frequencies are there. I wrote the policy in ICT when I was a PS, and I know it is there. Is it because of me?
Engineer, I got a question. I will respond. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. One more question. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, gender balance. Thank you so much for that question. Make it short.
My name is Afiona Songa. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Technology Service Providers Association of Kenya. It's a local industry body that helps investors when they come into Kenya. We've been very instrumental in getting the big tech into the country over the last 25 years. Now, my question is to the service providers who are sitting there, including Konza. Before you come to the diaspora and start telling them all the good things that you're doing, I think you're forgetting the first stakeholder who's at home. Why? Because the people in this room will call home and they'll ask the Kenyans there, what do you know about Konza? What do you know about SS70T? What do you know about each of the companies that has presented there? Then you find that Kenyans don't know you. They don't know about what you're doing. They don't understand what you're doing. So while you want them to invest, they also go to check, and they are finding that trust. He said collaboration comes with trust. Build the trust at home, so that as you come in to invest, you are riding on trust that is there, that is going to support your businesses as you move along. You have very beautiful ideas, but I think if you don't build on the network capital of home and the stakeholder at home, we may end up losing some very good ideas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll have only one person answer the question, so we can wrap this session up.
That's
Thank you.
fine. I'll give the PS to answer both questions, and he can just say some closing remarks as he does.
Thank you. Before I answer the two questions, I just want to assure our diaspora that as a country, we are committed to ensure Kenya takes the space in the technology. We want to leverage the friendship we have with this great country. We want to leverage your presence here to ensure that we put Kenya in the right path. We want to be the leader in digital and tech in the African continent. And we are on course on this. Daktari asked some of the things he thinks we need to do. One, to make Kenya a data hub to host data centers. I can assure you one of the announcements which will come out of this visit will be fully in line on that. We have been looking how to optimize two things, our renewable energy and our talent. And now we can convince the global tech giants to put hyperscale data centers in Kenya, and I think that would be a great output of this visit. The second thing that we are working on is to create jobs. We see a quick opportunity for us to have up to 1 million, 1.5 million Kenyans access job opportunities through the PPOs. We are on track on this, and we encourage our diaspora to do something. We have Kenyans, I think we had someone here called Humphrey Muchoma. He already has 200 Kenyans working for American companies back at home in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity has a cap of almost 4 million unfilled jobs. If you Google and check, US alone has a shortage of over 700,000. Kenya needs about 50,000 of that jobs. You can connect us to those opportunities. We work with the training institutions and equip our young people with those skills. Lastly, we believe we can go to the front. Somebody was saying we need a real leap in the front. Semiconductors is the key conversation globally now. How do we put Kenya in that front? How do we engage academia? I think the next conversation will be talking even about universities. My colleague PS is here. We want to make sure we are part of the global ecosystem, just like countries like Israel, Korea, and even Taiwan, that we can play in that space.
Thank you.
Lastly, we look forward to connecting with you, diaspora, to research institutions. Professor Mutisha here, he took me to top research institutions in this country. We want you to link this to our universities at home. If we do not play the knowledge economy, we will not achieve the transformation we are looking for. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And lastly, on the two questions, we are working on the communication, and to Engineer Reke, visitors at home, we have this conversation. You have been in government before for many years, probably longer than me. We will have conversation on how these issues can be addressed. We are attracting investment. We do not want to turn down any funding coming to our country. We are ready to support you and any other diaspora who has opportunity. Our doors are open. And of course, in respect to regulations and the status of existing infrastructure and ecosystem. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, thank you. Let us give a round of applause to this team, terrific team. We are grateful. Yeah, we are ready actually for the next session. and I'm going to have my co-MC, Sami Reri, take over for the next session. For those who don't know my names, my names are Catherine Jogu, and I live here in Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you, and thank you so much for everything.
All right, thank you very much, my co-MC. Give them a round of applause for that. Thank you very much. So this next session, PS Tanui, thank you very much with your team. I'm going to be inviting PS for Diaspora Affairs, Madam Roslyn Jogu. She's our PS for Diaspora Affairs. As they come forward, I know, I am the villain. I am the timekeeper. So my name is Sam. You can make sure if you have any questions, come to me. What I'm trying to do in this next session is about knowledge, skills, and technology transfer. How you can use your knowledge, your skills, how you can tap that into investments, how you can tap that to help our country back home, and how you can be able to even over here be able to partner with our government, private sector back home for that. We'll talk a little bit about policies and all that in this section. One thing I'm trying to accomplish as they come to the front, Madam PS and your team, tafadhalini kujeni. I have one mic for you, Madam PS, up there, and then the other two mics, the panelists will share that mic. As they come here, my objective, as I mentioned, is two things. I want to make sure that we interact with our president as much as we can, all right? I do promise he's going to take his time with you because you're diaspora, and we do care about the diaspora affairs. While they're settling up, tafadhali, just allow me in this segment, we'll only have two quick questions. And when I say quick questions, tafadhali, quick questions. The rest of the questions can be answered. All the ministries are represented here. We'll make sure that we connect you to the right ministry if you have any questions. At this moment, I will invite Madam PS Njogu, our diaspora PS, to go ahead and introduce this section, and then we'll have an introduction and we'll proceed. Karibu, Madam PS.
I pushed it. Okay, good. We're all set. Thank you so much, Sam and colleagues. Habari zenu. This evening, I'm very excited to be having the panel on skills, knowledge, and technology transfer. And really, the idea of this conversation is to find out what does the diaspora have to offer their home of origin in terms of the very in terms of the knowledge economy, in terms of knowledge, in terms of skills, in terms of technology, and how can we have conversations around moving what it is that you have picked up in the diaspora all the way home. So we'll start by introducing the team, and I probably will start with Ken all the way over there and then work our way back. Really quickly, just tell us your name and why you want to be in the conversation on SKT transfer.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, I believe it's on now. Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Ken Mwenda. I am the co-founder and managing director of a company called Immobilis. We're based in Nairobi, Kenya. We've been around for 14 years, and we're involved in digital skilling. We're a technology and innovation hub. And we have had the privilege to work with Microsoft, with Google, with Amazon Web Services on delivering technology skilling to a national audience of young Kenyans to prepare them for the future of work. We've also been entrusted and privileged to be running the Ajira Digital program on behalf of the government of Kenya to help with youth unemployment, to get the unemployment crisis of 40% of young people who are not in dignified and fulfilling work. And so we work with KEPSA to be able to offer free skilling to young people across the country. Good to be here. Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Shiko Gitao. I'm the CEO of Kala. We are a Digital Innovation Lab. We are actually headquartered in Nairobi, but have presence here in DC and in San Francisco. Our goal is to ensure that Kenya becomes the digital hub, as the PS said.
My name is Kenny Karanja. I'm a certified licensing professional For those who don't know what that is, I work with universities, especially the University of Minnesota, to catalyze the transfer of knowledge built by faculty, staff, and students into commercial entities with the end product of getting a return on investment, and then that investment funds further research and educational pursuits.
I'm Beatrice Muganda Inyangala. I'm the PS, Higher Education and Research, and I'm excited to join this conversation because as a State Department, we hold the key to what will shape the future of Kenya. We have the responsibility of nurturing the talents of our young people so that they can make a contribution to the country, drawing from, different knowledge sources and experiences.
Good evening. My name is John Gunjiri. I'm an attorney residing in Houston, Texas. I work at the law firm of Norton Rose Fulbright. I'm a former engineer in the energy space. I am an attorney in the energy space, energy and infrastructure. I focus my practice around project management, building of major projects, mega projects as we call them, and the commercial aspects of law around that. I'm excited to be here today because this is a passion of mine to talk about the transfer of skills, transfer of knowledge, transfer of technology from one jurisdiction, so to speak, in the US, from the diaspora, back to Kenya, and what that can do to continue transforming the country that is already on the path to being one of the greatest countries in Africa. We have the power, we have the ability, we have the skills, we have the minds, we have the brain power in this room and outside of this room, in the diaspora to do this. And I want to help, at least be part of the cog that drives that machine towards that goal. Thank you.
Right, so thank you so much for that introduction. To dive right into it, let's start, and I'll start with you, PS Inyangala, a conversation around the policy or the infrastructure, legal and regulatory framework that exists in Kenya for tapping into this transfer of skills, knowledge, and technology from our diaspora. Could you say something about that?
Yeah, sure. I think we have adequate infrastructure given where we are at on this journey of economic development. We are a country that seeks to be middle income and highly industrialized in the next 6 years. As far as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM courses are concerned, we are at 25%. So 25% of our programs have the infrastructure to deliver on this promise, at least at that level. So 7% we have like the labs and the kind of infrastructure we need for the natural sciences, for health programs, nursing, medicine, and other related programs. We have about 6%. For ICT, we are at 5.3%. For engineering, the workshops and equipment that's required, we are at 4.2%. And for agriculture, we are at 2.8%. Although really, we have the farms, we have the engineering equipment and all that. But I think with time, the interest in agriculture for our students has gone rather down. So what does this mean? It means that we have something that the diaspora can build on in terms of helping us to achieve scale. And also in terms of linking us to the international knowledge systems so that we can draw on emerging technologies to train our students. What are some of the emerging technologies? I think the panel that was here really dealt with that in detail, the AI, the cybersecurity, the blockchain, and all that. But we have to think about this broadly across all the sectors, like in agriculture, smart agriculture, precision agriculture, the latest technologies in medicine. So we are making progress by linking with the diaspora through staff exchanges, through student exchanges, and we are also drawing on partnerships, and we are grateful to our development partners and partnering universities who come in and help us to mobilize these resources. As far as research is concerned, so far we are investing 0.8% of our GDP in research. 42% of this, again, from our development partners. We know this is also an area that we require much more investment so that we can develop the new knowledge and technology that we need to push us to the next level as a country. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Thank you, PS. But maybe staying with the policy questions, let me ask Kenny, Dr. Kenny Karanja, to tell us something about, so your PS Inyangala is on the government of Kenya's side, thinking about what infrastructure exists and what we already have in place as far as SKT transfer is concerned. But from your diaspora point of view, as a person working in universities and in the places where diaspora knowledge and skills are being developed, what are some of the things you think governments such as ours that are looking to work with 4 million strong diaspora ought to be thinking about in terms of ensuring that we are putting in place mechanisms that make this kind of transfer easy?
So yeah, in the US context, for example, academic institutions, as you mentioned, academic institutions are the bedrock of innovation and essentially building up companies and sources of employment. So one thing that the government of Kenya can think of, or I believe they've already started thinking about it, is putting together policies that institutionalize things like intellectual property. The panel before us talked about commercialization. Universities generate a lot of intellectual property. All of us here at one point in our lives have generated intellectual property. The key thing is what structural frameworks are there to facilitate the migration of that intellectual property into an actual tangible product or a service. And that's where universities and governments can interact to make sure that you have policies that, first of all, protect the intellectual property. Second, facilitate the transfer of that intellectual property, often in terms of a startup. So you need to have a national ecosystem that allows for venture capital, private equity, angel funding opportunities, so that the diasporans that are interested in investing in such organizations can then leverage those instruments to then invest in whatever startup that they're interested in. I think part of the panels this afternoon have been talking about what are the investment opportunities that are available in Kenya. And this is one of those sectors, academic entrepreneurship. It's not something that is often talked about, but at least that conversation has started going on in Kenya. And we can leverage the diaspora here that already is in that space, like myself and others, as well as other people in the startup ecosystem in the United States and the general diaspora, to have a process whereby we can really bring those skills and knowledge to the companies being established in Kenya. There's a move to export labor, which is good, but we also need to generate employment opportunities in Kenya through academic institution, entrepreneurship, and intellectual property.
And that's really exciting, this idea of connecting skills, knowledge, technology transfer with the startup economy and with the infrastructure of funding for these kinds of setups. So let me maybe staying with commercialization or staying with modes of exporting or modes of transferring these skills, knowledge and technology. Maybe let me jump back here to John, Dr. Ngunjiri, to talk a little bit about what are some of the skills that you think we should be mapping out for purposes of this kind of transfer. From your own experience as an engineer and now as a lawyer in the energy space, what are some of those skills that you think are present here in the diaspora, and it can be here in the US or in other parts of our diaspora, that then we could be transferring back home, and maybe speak to this, to the piece about protection in terms of intellectual property protection as you deal with that question.
Thank you, Madam PS. So there is a whole spectrum of skills and knowledge and transfer and technology that we can talk about that exists in the diaspora, in the countries where we have Kenyans living outside of Kenya, that can be transferred back to Kenya. And I'll start with the very basic, which is the trademan, the trade skills, the trademan skills, for example, as basic as welding, as basic as the construction industry, as basic as the right way to build the road and make sure that the road is still there 50 years down the road. It is not, it sounds simple when I say it out loud, but we all have grown up in Kenya and we have seen roads that have been fixed, and in a few months down the road, you question the skillsmanship, the workmanship that has gone into construction of such infrastructure. To me, it's not a matter of just going to school and being a civil engineer and being out there inspecting and making sure that our roads are being constructed. It's a question of actually honing in that skill set that actually makes you, as an engineer or as a road construction crew, to actually love your product, to end up looking at that end product and owning it. And those soft skills, I call them soft skills, are what sometimes are lacking. It's for lack of a better word, the emotional side of technology, so to speak. Having people who have a passion for why they do things and not because they have the skills from school. And to me, that is something that I have seen, at least in the crews that I've worked from construction all the way to being a lawyer today, and I can tell you, I have seen a difference in terms of the pride people have in their end product. And that is something that we can encourage back home by transferring that which we learn. And I know a lot of people who are here in this room that work in the different sectors understand exactly what I'm talking about. There's people who work in Kenya, and Madam PS, you've been here in school in the US, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's an intangible skill, so to speak, but we have the ability to transfer that. So I don't want to dwell too much on that, but I can go on to talk about professional skills also. We have doctors, we have lawyers, we have engineers, we have the same back in Kenya. But what's the difference? Why do we continue talking about needing to transfer those skills from out here back there? It's all a matter of, again, how do we actually do the work? A doctor in Kenya and a doctor in the US should not be any different when it comes to treating a human being. What is stopping them from actually achieving the same level of medical care that you would find in countries outside of Kenya? Why does somebody have to travel outside Kenya to go find medical help, medical intervention, when we have doctors that are highly skilled, well trained in Kenya? So you have to put everything in place, not just the knowledge that you put in the person, but also the tools that that will enable the person to be able to achieve that level of care and standard as a professional. And this goes back to, going back to Madam PS's question about intellectual property. How do you ensure that you are encouraging innovation and development by, well, starting from protecting that knowledge and invention that the Kenyan entrepreneur, the engineer's development that somebody has come up with from so to speak, from being stolen, right? Intellectual property laws exist in Kenya. It's not necessarily new, a new space. We already have that. Enforcement is what we probably would want to see, growing. And we have people who are out here, intellectual property lawyers, intellectual property and incubators, so to speak, people who develop new ideas into commercializing them, like Dr. Karanja here. So getting those types of institutionalized skills built into our existing ecosystem in Kenya so that it can be successful as far as protecting technology.
Thank you for that. So transferring the skills plus, transferring the extra, the secret sauce that makes the skills work. Let me maybe move from there to Shiko. Dr. Gitau, so when we talk about transfer, we're talking about skills, we're talking about knowledge, we're talking about technology. And sometimes for regular diasporians who work at a hospital or who work in a law firm or who work at a corporate, might not be thinking of themselves as people having a skill or a knowledge or technology to transfer. Could you speak about probably how diaspora in a everyday sense could transfer the knowledge or the information that they're able to pick up from their experiences here?
Awesome. Thank you so much, PS. So one of the key things when you hear about diaspora, you're thinking about these people, watu wa majuu, all these things. But you hold a very special key is because you have understanding of two markets. You have an understanding of how this market works, and you have the understanding of where you grew up works. At least most people grew up in Kenya, right? And that understanding is what needs to be bridged. I'll give a very practical example. Many of the people that have been listed here are people who are individuals in their career, in their company. So every time you talk about Africa in your company or Kenya, they're saying, but how are we going to engage with Africa? There are not enough talent. And it has been my prerogative to say, push back against that narrative and say, why don't we experiment in Africa? I and my two friends are going to go and run a medical camp in Africa. At Google, I know this because I did it at Google. When I was at Google, in San Fran, I used to be told, oh, there's not enough talent in Africa. There's not all these things in Africa. And I said, but I am from Africa. I was trained in Kenya. All my education was in Kenya. What do we do? Why don't we take me and 5 of my friends and go and run a boot camp in Kenya? And then I was on my SVP, the senior VP's face every day saying, why don't you invest in a UX lab in Kenya? And the first UX lab that was set up in 2011 in Kenya was because I knocked on that door enough times that Google said, okay, go and set up this center. 7 years later, when I went back home to hire, and Lopo is here, I will say, when I was hiring the UX people, all of those people had passed through that UX lab. Why? Because it was very practical. I got Google and Googlers to go and train Kenyans as UX researchers, and eventually we had this pipeline of people. So it's a long game. And you, whether you're a procurement officer, a junior person, you have the power to influence your organization to take some of your skills back home, either as yourself as a friend. It's summer. You can go with a few of your friends doing that. So for me, it's very practical. And Dr. Ishada is one of those people who is doing this for our data center work in Kenya. Thank you.
So much. I think we should clap for her because that is evidence of this project working. But let me pick up from there to Ken, and staying with practical things, staying with moving from abstract ideas to actually how this is already being done or has been done. Could you speak a little bit about a project that you're currently involved in and how that sort of ties the ideas of everybody together and brings it really to life?
Yeah, thanks, Madam PS. So as I mentioned earlier, Immobilis is a national skilling organization. So over the 14 years that we've been around training young people on data science, cybersecurity, software development, we have never encountered as profound a platform change, an exciting time for young people as we have right now. I give credit to the government of Kenya because about 5 years ago, they decided to launch the Ajira Digital Program. Now, the Ajira Digital Program was to get Kenya to be one of the top freelancing destinations in the world, so that young people could export their talent, their resources, and their interests in digital work and digitally enabled work. So whether that was becoming a freelancer or a transcriber, digital marketer, content writer, and content creator, but to be able to offer those services on platforms and get paid in dollars, which we love in Kenya. In case you haven't been there recently, we're still very much in love with dollars. And the idea being that the government looked at this holistically as a public-private partnership, where we work on the skilling side, but we also work with KEPSA on the demand side. It's funded by the MasterCard Foundation. To date, we've been able to train and empower over 412,000 young people across the country through these 101 digital hubs that the government provided at each constituency to be able for young people to access connectivity, to access devices provided by the government, and to access then the skilling and the training resources and the curriculum that is demand and market aligned. As a result of that, to your question about practical terms, what ended up happening is Amazon Web Services launched their first ever development center in Kenya last year. And again, thanks to the Ministry of ICT, and I see the PS here for their leadership on setting that up. In order to do that, and this was only the second one in Africa, the only other one is in South Africa, they needed a critical mass of skills of young people who understood cloud practitioner and had that skill to be able to do that. Now, this is also near and dear to my heart because I was in Canada for 14 years and then I moved back home. So I'm a returnee, I guess, of sorts. One of the people that was instrumental in setting this up, the AWS Cloud Center, was a gentleman by the name Robin Jiru. Robin is a Kenyan who is at a very senior level at Amazon Web Services, and like you being diaspora, was able to influence his organization to set up and campaign and promote and lobby for Kenya to be a center of excellence and a development center. That has now created jobs for cloud practitioners and engineers and developers and database analysts at a senior skilled level back home in Kenya. So we look forward to your support as diaspora. Whether that's knowledge exchange, whether that's partnerships, whether that's influencing your organizations here, or, as they say in America, when you're investing and there's friends, fools, and family, at least you're the family side of investing back home. So yeah, thanks for that.
Let me add to that, and also I'll touch a little bit about what a PS for Education said. From a practical standpoint on things that, how can we take these skills back home? I like to make things simple. So I'm going to point three things that, top of my head, I know most of us in this room can probably identify, if not all three, at least one of them. The first one I'll mention is projects. We have capital projects being done in Kenya every day. We have roads being built. We have our small but still growing oil industry. We have, you name it, the building, construction, real estate. Those are skills that are already in Kenya, but those are vehicles we should take advantage of. And how can we do that? We have what we used to call, I think they're still called export processing zones or strategic special economic zones. Taking advantage of those kind of setups to take back what you have set up here and building it in Kenya, taking advantage of the tax breaks that you get, that will not only encourage the diaspora to take their dollars home, but it will also encourage people who want to partner with the diaspora to invest in Kenya. Set up those trade schools in those zones. Take the education part of training into those economic zones and take advantage of the breaks. And before you know it, that skill is being left with the people in the country. You will be having a ready market for those kind of skills to be put into the industries that I just mentioned in terms of the capital projects and infrastructure development. The second one I would mention is exchange programs. Madam PS for Education mentioned about education programs that we have exchange students going from Kenya coming here. getting trained and then going back to Kenya for training. My dad was a lecturer in Kenya for all his life, as long as I knew him when he was alive. He got trained out here, he went back. That is part of this transfer of knowledge. You come out here, you get trained, and you go back and train other people, and you grow them in the same way that would have been taught if they actually themselves came over here. Then you open up the market to have those people who've now been trained to be able to put those skills into practice. Okay, and then the last one I was going to mention. Last one, and it ties back to the special economic zones. We do have the Konza city concept, Tatu city concept. Take advantage of those already existing ecosystems to take your skills that you have here and go both ways. We're not talking about just investing in Kenya, but having the Kenyan skills being invested outside of Kenya. We have very talented people in Kenya who, if they came out here, they could offer additional development in these countries that we call developed. And eventually, their whatever they earn can be taken back into the economy in Kenya. Thank you.
Sure. PS Inyangala, maybe you could make one comment and your parting shot, and then we'll just go down really quickly as everybody closes very quickly their comments and your parting shot, and then after that, I see Sam is already walking towards us. So let's go.
Okay, so there's the big question about policy, and I want to buttress everything that has been said by saying that everything that we do in higher education is to promote access to quality and relevant and affordable education for all. So I'll just point to two of the strategies. One is recently we did launch the Open University of Kenya, which actually facilitates access for those students who may not have acquired, of course, for those who acquire C+ and above, but also looking back, those who may not have obtained C+, who can then demonstrate that they have gained some experience or undertaken some courses which can be considered as bridging. And this is very useful, especially for those who can access from the comfort of their homes. And I can tell you today, 70% of those enrolled in the Open University are women. Can we give a clap to the women? And finally, a lot of you have heard about the new funding model. So we introduced this so that we could fund education optimally. Because as you know, program costs had been established. For example, medicine was 600,000, but nobody was paying this money. And so because of this, the quality of education was deteriorating. So we said, this money should be paid, but how will it be paid? Let us have a mixture of scholarships, loans, and household contributions. To cut it a long story short, for this model to be sustainable, our Higher Education Loans Board needs to have a lot of money so that they can provide a huge amount of loans to the students. So this is an opportunity also for the diaspora to save with the Higher Education Loans Board so that that money can then be used to mobilize loans to fund our students. Thank you.
Kenny?
All right, mine are going to be two very short statements, if I may. And one of those will give you money if you follow through on that. So the first one is, all of us here are alumni of institutions in Kenya. Join your alumni association. If you are in the entrepreneurship field, support the startups that are coming from those institutions. Second, the future of healthcare is artificial intelligence and machine learning. If you're, and we have a lot of health practitioners in this space, link up with an institution in Kenya doing machine learning and artificial intelligence applications. Come up with ways of remote diagnosing of diseases and you will make money, and please give me a part of what you make.
Thank you. So mine also too, I think everybody's doing two things. The first one is he gave a very good call to action about an asset class called investing in startups. And I know you're in America, you're wondering, how do I do that? There are two vehicles that I know of by Kenyans here in the US that are doing that. One of them is called Simba Angels. They're out of San Francisco. They are looking for Kenyans who are willing to invest in startups in Kenya. If you find me there, I'll give you a contact. The other one is PANI, P-A-I-N-I. It is based out of Kenya. They're also looking for diasporans who are wanting to invest in Kenya, just in case that one. The second one is about knowledge transfer, because I'm very passionate about this. Africa is 19.5-year-olds. How do we create skills for the future? We've been working with this gentleman in trying to assess what talent is coming out of our skilling program. To be honest, it's below par. How do we upskill them? It's because of you people. Is how you need to tell us what does the world need in terms of talent. And I want to call out Dr. Kingori, who is there, who is doing a fantastic job with Kenyatta University from Ohio, and she's bridging the skills gap around public health. What does the world need in terms of technology, statistics, data science, and public health? And she's training university lecturers to be able to provide that to the world. Of course, I've mentioned Ichi and all the work around data science, but the other one is Nancy from San Francisco, who is bringing together skills and talent gaps from across San Francisco to see how do we bridge from Kenya and how do we use as Kenyans solve for this. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And before Ken says a word, tafadhali, can we just maintain some silence in the room? I know there are people who are taking notes. They still want to continue. So those who are streaming inside, let's be a little bit quiet. Tafadhali, naomba muniwe radhi tuweze kunyamaza kidogo ndio tuweze kusikiza. And then I'll move to that. Bwana Ken, continue.
Okay, so maybe let me back the trend and say mambo ni matatu. So let me close with three very quick things. So the first one, just very quickly, is the idea of public-private partnerships. I'll also preface that by saying this is an incredibly opportune time for Kenya. We have government goodwill and a government that is switched on. We have boot camps, public institutions, and there's never been more access, more democratic access for young people to access, whether it's MOOCs or online training or YouTube videos, to learn and catch up with what's going on in the world for the fourth industrial revolution. I think the thing is to have that bridge that partners what you guys know and have access to. That's my second point, is the jobs that you have access to. Google did an a Google ecosystem developer report for Africa in 2021, and they found that there's about 716,000 developers, software developers across Africa. 60,000 of those are in Kenya. So Kenya is one of the 4 big hubs for developers. 38% of those developers were working for at least one company outside the continent. I believe there is so much opportunity. When you look at what India has done, there are 18 million in the diaspora, and you guys represent some of the best and brightest. So how can you help young people back in Kenya to access jobs, but also then the skills? And that's my third and final point. A couple of years ago, for example, Stanford partnered with University of Nairobi to do a human-centered design workshop. So they had their 4th-year students going in and partnering with University of Nairobi. It was a free workshop. So in your institutions and spheres of influence, how can you then be that bridge that links to back home for the right skills on AI, on cloud, and all these areas that are the future of work? So thank you so much. Great to see you all. Thanks. Bye.
John?
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. I don't have much to say other than I definitely have to say this. The views and comments I have made are not of my law firm. They're my personal views as a Kenyan. And so that disclaimer has to be said anytime I speak in public. And then the last thing I will say is I want to encourage us to be patriotic to Kenya. I will say this at the risk of sounding political. If you had an issue with the United States and you mentioned it in front of an American, they will not bring up what party they belong to. They will be like, you don't say that about America, you don't go after my country. They are very patriotic people. Let us emulate being patriotic people. Let us be faithful to our home country, and let us promote Kenya. When you hear people talking negative about Kenya or in Africa in general, be the first one to correct them. When people ask you how come you can speak English, you know better how to answer that kind of question, because at the end of the day, you did here, you had an interview at that embassy, it was in English, it was not in your mother tongue. So try to remember that being patriotic is what's going to promote Kenya, not only among ourselves, but also outside, to outsiders who have no knowledge about our country. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And finally, let me thank you all, panelists, for taking part in the conversation today about what diaspora can do in terms of skills, knowledge, and technology transfer. And diaspora, let me also thank you for
Tafadhali, please. Just give our PS a quick moment.
Thank you.
Tafadhali, just give the PS a quick moment. Those who are still entering the hall, that's fine. Respect the reserved tables, but we just need you to be silent just to hear this message. Most important message of tonight. Pointing to you who's talking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Sam. Just to say that one of the things that I've taken away from this panel really is the very simple things that everybody can do to be involved in knowledge, skills, and technology transfer. It's not this very abstract, out there idea. It is as simple as joining the Alumni Association back home and being involved in the work that they are doing. It is in supporting a startup. It is in basically investing in the special economic zones and working in this. It is in finding easy and practical ways. It is in working within the organization that you already work and carrying Kenya with you and bearing that flag. Thank you very much. Asante sana, Sam.
Asante sana, Madam PS. The best thing is you're the best ambassadors the Ministry of Foreign Affairs can ever have. Tafadhali, give them a hand, tafadhali. Makofi kwa tafadhali. Thank you very much. I know we still have a lot of questions. I promise you your questions will be answered today, and we'll ensure that that is done. So at this moment, thank you the panelists as they get down the stage. I am now switching to the next segment. I understand the president motorcade is on the way. So I need to clear the hall and I need everybody seated at this moment. Hello, I need, where's my protocol team, my hospitality team? I need all the PSs to be shown where they're sitting. So now the president is coming and this is what I want us to do. Tafadhali, this is what I want us to do. I want us to go ahead and I do have reserved tables that I want us to respect this one, tafadhali. Because of Secret Service, I know we needed to clear the room, but we have discussed that with them. So what we're gonna do at this time, everybody who's standing, I need you to sit. And then my protocol team, tafadhali, I need you here. 1 minute, DJ, give me some quick music while I'm making sure that I know the seating arrangement for the PSs, and then we move on. Where's my DJs at? Give me some quick music. I need the protocol team from Nairobi. Thank you. The PSs were all sitting right here. I need to figure out where they're all sitting. No. Yeah. But then the sitting arrangement is what I'm position you guys where you're sitting. And then so I can have the rest of the crowd to move so we can make sure. Where's my DJ? I'm still waiting for you. I need this Zalendo song. Cue the national anthem as the president is almost here. I need everybody seated. Tafadhali, the security team needs everybody seated. And today I'm the villain. Jina langu I'm Sami Reri. If you wanna fight me or anything, it's okay. Today this is what I'm gonna do. So, as we do that, I have a guy who plays the saxophone as well. I have somebody who can entertain us. At this moment, I want to see which is the farthest state that's here. Of course, I'm not starting with Georgia. Anybody from Montana? Anybody from Montana in the house? Alaska in the house? Hawaii in the house? All right, so Alaska, Hawaii, we need to send Kenyans there. Oh, hold on. Hey. Tafadhali, which state are you from?
I am from Alaska. If you heard a story in 2011, I am the Kenyan who literally ran out of wheels. My feet were amputated because of frostbite. I am from Alaska.
All right, clap for this gentleman. He's the only Kenyan in Alaska who had frostbites. Na amefika leo. He's here. Clap for him, jamani. All the way from Alaska. I am so happy to see a Kenyan in Alaska. I tell you, Kenyans, we hustle. We look for this dollar. All right, let me cover my Midwest. Just to be biased. Anybody from the Great Lakes? Let me start with Minnesota. Anybody from Minnesota in the house? Anybody from Minnesota in the house? Clap for Minnesota in the house. One of the coldest places. I'm from Minnesota, Minneapolis as well. Wisconsin in the house. Anybody from Wisconsin? Wisconsin in the house. Anybody from Illinois, Chicago area, Chicago mko wapi? Chi-Town, give it up to Chi-Town as well. All right, let me cover Iowa. I know Iowa, anybody from Iowa? I'm getting bad with my geography here. Iowa, all right, Iowa back there, Nebraska. I'm going to Midwest right now, Nebraska. All right, let me go to California. Everybody's saying California. Who's from California? Just stand up and wave to the crowd. If you're from California, watu wa Cali. No, just stand up and wave to the crowd. Why? I'm going to tell you why. Because anybody from California, I have a secret for you what the president wants to do in California. Do you guys want to know what the president is doing in California? Since he did not stand up, so this is what I'm going to do. Yes, we have San Francisco and Nairobi becoming sister partnership. So Sakaja, Governor Sakaja will be there being represented by, what's your name?
Nancy.
Nancy is doing the partnership for Nairobi and San Francisco. Governor Sakaja will be there. This is the lady. And if you can travel to San Francisco to see that partnership, that would be great. Asanteni sana. All right, is there a state yenye sijakava? Any state that is not covered? All right, Arizona. Let me go to my people. Wenye munaweza pigia Trump kura kidogo. Okay, anybody from Arizona? Nobody from Arizona? Which other state? Maine. All right, where are the Seattle people? Washington, Seattle. I know Carrier Prestige from Seattle, right? Yes, Seattle represented. Wacha nikuje kidogo New Hampshire. Najaribu kukaribia hapa kidogo New Hampshire. Boston area, Rhode Island. Those tri-cities. All right, where are my New Yorkers? Those who don't play with money. New Yorkers, if you're from New York. All right, we got New York in the house as well. Connecticut, kidogo hapo. All right. Mahali tutakuwa on Wednesday, DNV area. That I'm talking about Delaware, DC, Virginia, Maryland. Anybody from there?
1, 2.
Yep. All right, I see a few. All right, with that being said, before I come to Atlanta, Georgia, we have somebody who's going to present a quick item for you. And I'm waiting for them. DJ, if you have that queued for me. And I have the guy who plays saxophone, especially the national anthem. I also need them to be ready for me. DJ, give me some quick music here. While I come to that. Thank you.
1, 2. 1, 2.
1, 2. And I also need everybody who's outside to come back in. Make sure you have a wristband. If you don't have a wristband, I need you to register outside tafadhali if you don't have a wristband. And why I'm asking this, because for dinner time, I will need everybody to have a wristband. So if you don't have a wristband, make sure you register outside tafadhali. All right, DJ. DJ, I'm still waiting for my DJ. If you need your paycheck.
We're gonna go into some entertainment, and we're gonna do a little entertainment with some of our diasporians who are here with us. And we're gonna start the first one. We're gonna start with Pastor Naomi Karanja. Let us appreciate Pastor Naomi. Thank you, DJ. Prepare for Pastor Naomi. She's heading to the stage. Thank you so much. Prepare a song for her. We're going to continue to entertain ourselves. Asante.
Makofi kidogo kidogo.
appreciate Pastor Naomi Karanja. At this moment, I'm going to invite DJ. We're going to have Caroline Modhoka. She's going to give us a number. Let us appreciate Caroline as she makes her way to the podium. Thank you, thank you. DJ, let's have a song for Caroline as she makes it over here.
Napenda nchi yangu Kenya, nchi yenye amani, nchi yenye upendo, nchi yenye utulivu. Napenda nchi yangu Kenya, nchi yenye amani.
Napenda nchi yangu, mzalendo. Mzalendo, the one you were playing.
Nchi yangu Kenya, nchi yenye amani. Mimi ni mwana Kenya, mimi ni mzalendo. Mimi ni mwana Kenya, mimi ni mzalendo. Hata nikiwa ng'ambo, mimi ni mzalendo. Hata nikiwa mbali, Kenya ni nchi yangu. Hata nikiwa mbali, Kenya ni nchi yangu. Mungu ibariki Kenya. Kenya ni mama yetu. Kenya ni nchi yetu. Kenya ni mama yetu. Kenya ni nchi yetu. Tuimbe sote. Mzalendo. Kenya ni mwana Kenya. Mzalendo. Hata nikiwa mbali, Kenya ni nchi yangu. Kenya ni nchi yangu. Mungu ibariki Kenya. Mungu ibariki Kenya. Najivunia kuwa Mkenya. Najivunia kuwa Mkenya. Mungu ibariki taifa la Kenya, nchi yangu. Nakuomba Mungu ibariki Kenya, nchi yangu.
Thank you. Thank you, Caroline. Let's appreciate her again. Asante, Asante. We have great talents in the diaspora. At this time, I want to invite our young man who is going to play the saxophone, Justin Moshono, he's going to play Malaika. Let us appreciate Justin as he makes his way to the podium. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, everybody, for your love. The hall is full. We are happy to see everybody here tonight. Asanteni sana. Thank you. As we continue to entertain, to get entertained, and as we wait for our president. Karibu sana, Justin. DJ. Thank you, DJ, for good job you're doing over there. Thank you. Thank you, Justin.
Which simply means I love. Ladies and gentlemen, this next song comes from Tanzania. It's a song in Swahili, a love song. It simply says, Malaika nakupenda malaika, which simply means, I love you, my angel.
Restart the song. Restart the song, DJ. Can you just play it? I'll just play it. No track, he's just gonna play it. Thank you, Justin. Let's appreciate Justin. Wow. Great talent, great job. Thank you so much. Appreciated you. So DJ, you can give us some music as we line up more entertainment. Thank you.
Usifiwe Mungu, muumba mbingu na nchi yote. Amen, amen. Jehovah Adonai, Jehovah El Shaddai. Amen, amen. Oh, uko kila mahali Baba, dunia ya kutambua. Ukisema yawe, nani apingane nawe? Amen, amen. Hallelujah, hallelujah, Mfalme, Bwana wa mabwana. Oh, hallelujah, Yesu wangu we. Hallelujah, tuko salama chini ya mbawa zake. Kanisa letu imara, mesimama palipo sawa.
All right. Thank you, DJ. Give me a quick moment. Thank you. All right. So, I wish to make this announcement. I know the president's motorcade is here, but for a few things. All right, this is what we're going to do. I do respect each and every diasporan, but also diaspora, we also have to respect ourselves, all right? So my security team is asking me, I understand we have, the president will be sitting on this side, all right? And since we all know, because this is our home, we have to welcome the president, and for security purposes, I have tables way out the back. I need you guys to move and come closer, sit closer to the president. Tafadhali. If you want to sit closer to we cannot isolate our president to just sit by himself. So that those who are coming later on, I know there are a lot of people still downstairs. I need them to fill the back seats when they come so there's less commotion. So since we are here ahead of time, I'm just kindly requesting you to move to this side where our president will be sitting so that we can be able to comfortably welcome our president and he can feel at home. Is that clear, Atlanta? If you're with me, clap once. Sasa mnaniangusha ni nini mbaya? Hamjakula jameni? Aya, tunaandalia chakula, but I need us to fill these seats on this side. And then those who are coming back, my security team will be able to just guide them to sit on the table that you're sitting. That way there's less commotion in the house. All right, DJ, filled out. I have an announcement. All the team, all the healthcare team on Atlanta team that was supposed to take care. We had some doctors and nurses who are on standby for this event. I need you outside. Doctors and nurses who are on standby for this event on standby. I need you outside, tafadhali. Just go see Catherine Jogo outside. We really need you real quick. All the few nurses that were there. Also, I need my security team, the Atlanta security team as well. If you can come and see me, I have some directions for you. DJ.
Yeah.
PPMC Production.
Kena ni baba, kena ni mama, umenichunga na kupenda sana. Jamhuri Day, kila kitu sawa, ni feeling poa kujitawala. Fiche imeng'ara kama kawa, jua imewaka tena sana. Wagenge wote wanajivunia, Kenya yetu bado tunaaminia.
Kenya ni namba moja, tena tunaongoza, wengine wanafuata. Mola ametulinda tuwe mara kama sema, kila kitu guda guda. Au sio? Ndio manake
Amina jivunia kuwa Mkenya, tuna mengi na zote nazipenda. Uwe kijana ama mama mboga, ni nani atazidi kuijenga? Ni mimi, ni wewe, ni sisi, ni sote.
Wakenya twende Wakenya twende na kama inakubamba simama katika. It's all about love, one tribe daima.
Wakenya twende Wakenya twende na kama inakubamba simama katika. It's all about love, one tribe daima.
Tunabeba medali tukisafisha mirista ulipa kutoka enzi za Isa. Sani meda izirima kuja Idra, mimnyake inachezea kwa dibla. Maayela kila rangi ya kinia, 254 tukiadisia.
Kenya inchi yetu ni noma, kuna venye love yetu haina makosa. Kitu poa ni watoto wanasoma, main meal ni ugali na kamboga. 1963 tuligoma, 2021 tunasosa.
Sisi wa Kenya lazima tuelewane, lazima tuelimishane, lazima tuheshimiane.
Fahari yetu, undugu ndio nguvu, chuki na ukabila hatutaki hata kamwe, lazima tuungane.
All right, so the president has arrived, so I will need us to quickly settle down. Quickly settle down. My hospitality team, the CS is here. I need them to be shown where to sit.
Kenya, hakika ya bendera ni uthabiti wangu, nyeusi ya wananchi na nyekundu ni ya damu, kijani ni ya ardhi, nyeupe ya amani. Daima mimi Mkenya, mwananchi mzalendo. Kwa uchungu na mateso, kwa vilio na huzuni, tulinyakuliwa uhuru na mashujaa wa zamani.
Tafadhali, I need the hallway cleared. I need this hallway cleared. I need everybody to get inside and the hallway cleared. I need this hallway cleared. Those who are getting in, tafadhali show them where to sit. I need this hallway cleared out. Thank you. DJ cue me the national anthem to be ready. Let's all stand as our president. Tafadhali karibisheni Mheshimiwa Rais wetu wa Jamhuri ya Taifa la Kenya, His Excellency the President, for the national anthems, and then we proceed. Welcome to Atlanta, Your Excellency. National anthem. Afrika Mashariki tutaishi kuishi kwa amani, tusimuite kwa umarekani yetu, tutimize na malengo yetu. Asanteni sana. Thank you very much. You may all be seated. Let's be seated. Those who are also outside, I need everybody seated. Tunaanza rasmi shughuli yetu ya jioni. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, Her Excellency, Madam First Lady Ruto, Prime Cabinet Secretary, all the Cabinet Secretaries, the Permanent Secretaries, all the aspirants, all protocols observed. Welcome to Atlanta. Jameni niwasikie, karibuni Atlanta, si ndio? Karibu, karibu Mheshimiwa Rais. Tunakaribisha Atlanta na tunakaribisha kwa mioyo mikunjufu. So at this moment, as we're going to start, we'll start with a word of prayer. And I'll be asking Imam Sheikh Salahuddin Wazir to come. And then right after, Reverend Gigi Gitahi to pray for us. Sheikh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, Alhamdulillah, all praise due to Allah, the Lord of the world. We begin this gathering in gratitude of humility, acknowledging the blessing and the mercy of Almighty Allah bestows on us every day. We are honored today by the presence of His Excellency, President of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, with his First Lady and his delegation, who has graced us with his visit to Atlanta. We welcome him with open heart and spirit of brotherhood, as taught by our beloved and honorable Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Before I proceed with the prayer, let me share with you my positive experience in Kenya myself. 4 years ago, you see this picture? The young man then traveling from Ethiopia as an entrepreneur came to Kenya, and I was able to obtain a residence permit and business license surprisingly less than 3 hours. This is 40 years ago. Kenya is a beacon of hope for all of Africa. And yes, Kenya hosted thousands and millions of refugees from Ethiopia, Somalia. Not only this, Kenya became today the forefront in advocating for Africa with the leadership of His Excellency Dr. William and international arena like World Bank and beyond. We thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership. Now let's pray. Oh Allah, we ask your blessing upon this meeting. Guide our leaders with wisdom and compassion, so they may serve the people with justice and integrity. Grant them strength to overcome the challenges and foresight to make decisions that benefit all. Oh Allah, grant us peace and prosperity. We pray for the people of Kenya and for the people of all Africa and the United States and the world, that you may grant us harmony and success. Unite our heart in understanding and cooperation, fostering ties of friendship and mutual respect between our nation. We humbly ask you, Almighty Allah, to make us an instrument of good thing. O Allah, protect our distinguished guest, the President of Kenya and his delegation. Endow them with help, courage, and clarity in their mission. May this visit to Atlanta be fruitful, strengthen the bonds of collaboration and goodwill. O Allah, bless our communities here and abroad. Make us an instrument of your mercy, promoting kindness, tolerance, and unity. Help us to embody the principle of Islam in our teaching, in our action, serving a beacon of light. O Allah, the merciful, accept our prayer and intention. Bless this gathering and guide us towards this action that are pleasing to you. Let this occasion be a source of inspiration and step towards greater understanding and cooperation between our people around the world. And furthermore, we want to thank President of Kenya, really his leadership to the Muslims in Kenya. We've seen him, how he served during the month of Ramadan and having iftar with the Muslim community. Thank you, Mr. President, for that as well. In conclusion, I will offer our condolences to the President of Iran who crashed, and our heart goes with the people of Iran as well. And thank you. Karibu, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. Reverend Gigi Gitahi.
Let us pray. Almighty God, from whom all blessings flow, in this assembly we come with gratitude for the gift of life, for the gift of health. We are so thankful for the great nation we call Kenya that we love so much. We also are grateful for this great nation we call the United States of America that has become home, far away from home. As we celebrate our heritage tonight, we invoke your presence, even as we thank you for the safety of our president and his entourage. Come and be with us this evening. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. And all of us say, amen. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Reverend. So as we get to our program tonight, I just want to welcome everybody to Atlanta. This is the first and only state that has enshrined Mashujaa Day in their constitution to celebrate Mashujaa Day, with the great help of Eric Mwangi for doing that. So we urge you, all Kenyan citizens in each and every state, be the great ambassadors of those states. So, Your Excellency, we had great panel discussions that went on this afternoon, and I know we didn't answer all your questions. We also have the Kenya Trade Expansion Advisory Group led by Engineer Ndonga, Chelimo, Dr. Karanja, myself, and Kinyanjui. You can ask those questions and they'll be forwarded to the right places. So at this moment, Your Excellency, we also have not just Kenyan, we had other neighboring countries who wanted to visit. We have the great people of South Sudan, the great people of Somalia. We just want to recognize you and thank you for that. So you're most welcome. At this moment, I'm going to be inviting our great ambassador who just got another new appointment with this administration, Bwana Lazarus Amayo, to come and give his welcoming remarks as the host of this place. My name is Sami Reri, and I welcome you all to Atlanta. Thank you, Balozi, and then to invite Madam PS, I will also give our welcoming remarks. Balozi, karibu.
Thank you very much, Bwana Ireri. Your Excellency, the President, Your Excellency, the First Lady, Your Excellency, the Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, allow me to say all protocols observed. The patriotic Kenyan diaspora in the United States, ladies and gentlemen, amjambo. Your Excellency, I'll be very brief because it is 7 o'clock and we had agreed the program should be ending around this time, and you left who left Nairobi last night, Kenyan time. You've never slept. But the diaspora before you, Your Excellency, are patriotic Kenyans that have come from far and wide, all the states, to meet with you here in Atlanta, Georgia. That is for the love of the country and the way they love you as their president. Not only that, many of them have also obtained their own tickets and booked their own accommodation to travel to Washington, D.C. to be able to witness the grand arrival ceremony at the White House on Thursday morning. And we are also gracious that the U.S. government allowed us to have a provision for 456 members of the diaspora that applied, got the response and invitation directly from the White House itself. This signifies the high importance that the host country attaches to Kenya-US relations. Your Excellency, the diaspora here, as an embassy, we are highly indebted to them because without them it would be difficult to achieve many of the issues that we handle, including consular services or even reaching out to Kenyans in distress. We thank them most sincerely, but they are more than just the diaspora requiring consular services. That I leave to PS Jobu to handle, but allow me to thank you most sincerely, Your Excellency, for gracing this occasion, and also to thank the organizers, the State Department of Diaspora, the diaspora community leaders and volunteers that have been here throughout to make this occasion a success, but also to thank you for fulfilling what you said here in 2022 about creation of a ministry or a State Department specifically for diaspora affairs. If I can vouch for it, in the last 8 months, the State Department of Diaspora, in collaboration with the State Department of Immigration and Immigration and Citizen Services, thank you for reminding me, Your Excellency, as well as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and its missions abroad, have conducted mobile consular services in almost 14 different stations outside DC, New York, and LA that has brought consular services closer to the people in the absence of having additional embassies. But these diaspora and related, these consular and related issues, I believe, will be handled separately by the PS diaspora. Lastly, let me say, Your Excellency, in promotion of Kenya-US relations, the diaspora are pivotal, not only on the trade side, but even on the legislative side. But we are happy that as you come to the US today, it is not what we had 10 years ago, when it was essential contacts only for leaders of Kenya. We have moved from that status to that of a strategic partner in management of relations between our two countries. And it is in this regard, Your Excellency, that we are happy to say that your coming here is yet another milestone and a bridge in strengthening the relations, taking into consideration the fact that the U.S. is our second largest export destination apart after Uganda. It is also the largest source of tourist arrivals for Kenya. And your coming is to signify that Kenya is ready for investment and has done reforms that make it a more conducive environment, not only for the Kenyan market, but for accessing EAC, COMESA, and even the FCTA. And so, you have, as you said, Your Excellency, the business community. As I close, the greatest desire on the trade side is not to be comfortable with the figures of 1.5 billion being the value of our bilateral trade, but the desire is to increase the volumes of trade, to build value addition to what we export to the US, and to diversify the basket, because our export basket to the US is 65% dominated actually by one community, textile and Africa. With those many remarks, Your Excellency, thank you very much. But on a personal note, like Irene said, maybe most Kenyans may not remember that in February 2024, your fellow heads of state and government appointed you or endorsed you to be the champion for AU institutional reforms, and you indeed replaced President Kagame as the champion for AU institutional reforms. And here I am, honored and privileged with the surprise to serve as the special envoy for the AU institutional reforms. I thank you most sincerely. Allow me, I mean, it's a challenge, but the gentleman with you there, Mr. Ndonga, Irene, you've seen, Mukile, you've seen, Chilimo, you've seen, Chiraisi, so, and others who have come from Pharmacy, here, and Church, and others. I can't name all. We have a dynamic diaspora. Their demand is more than consular services. They would like to positively contribute to Kenya's development agenda. Mungu akubariki, and ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to His Excellency the President. Mr. President. MC. And now I have the honor to invite everyone along, the diaspora leader and representative to make his remarks.
Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellency, the First Lady, Mama Rachel Ruto, Your Excellency, the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the CS for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, Cabinet and Principal Secretary Present, Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. On behalf of the diaspora across the globe, we are greatly honored to host you, our beloved President, in the great city of Atlanta, Georgia. Indeed, this room is full of Kenyans from all walks of life, representing all our country regions, which make us feel as if we are in Kenya. We say, Karibu Rais. Your Excellency, allow me at very outset to convey our immense gratitude to you and to your entire government for putting the diaspora issue at the core of your administration priorities. We particularly applaud you for establishing the State Department of Diaspora and placing it under the able leadership of one of our own, P.S. Rosary Jogu. The great work done by your government through the State Department has touched the heart of the diaspora and has the trust in the government. We also applaud you for creating opportunity for us, including through appointment in various capacities, such as the state position of Deputy Ambassador at St. James Court, London, Ambassador Walowi. This gesture is a testament to you, to your visionary leadership and your unwavering commitment of inclusivity and representation. Further, on behalf of my countrymen, let me thank President Biden administration for furthering ties between the United States and Kenya and making this historical visit in Atlanta. Your Excellency, your deliberate decision to include diaspora in your growth agenda has already started to yield benefit, as demonstrated by the surge in remittance, which according to the central bank, increased by 25% in the first quarter of 2024. We are proud to note that 49% of these remittances were from the United States of America. Thank you, which we introduced year 2022. It is our commitment that the diaspora will maintain this trajectory toward enhancing investment, among others. The diaspora city with its own health center, school, and recreational facility. Your Excellency, your visit to the state of Georgia was welcome, our idea, as this state is home of well-known global brands as Georgia Institute of Science and Technology, Georgia Tech, the CDC, the home of Coca-Cola, and the coast of the world's busiest airports. These organizations have produced renowned innovators, that's Georgia Tech, renowned innovators globally including and presented enormous opportunity for our people. In addition, Atlanta is a major hub and new Hollywood manufacturing state with the potential of becoming the best destination of Kenyan product. It is therefore a great honor that your state visit to the U.S. started here. Asante sana, in this regard, and given those benefits, it's our humble request that your administration consider establishing an honorary consulate trade office here in Ghana to serve the southern region of the United States. That's through Georgia, Florida, Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, and Tennessee. Whereas the creation of Kenya lead, the office will also help to drive economic growth through trade, investment, and remittance. It is also our request that the Kenyan government engage U.S. government to correct past injustice and support registration, which will include the Kenyan victim of 1998 embassy bombing in Kenya. Mr. President, with Kenya ever-growing young labor force, I request to the U.S. to simplify the application and the renewal of process for H-1B visa, H-2A visa, and H-2B visa. This can be a game changer in our country, Mr. President. It's for those who don't understand, all those visas is for professional, interprofessional, and non-professional. In conclusion, Mr. President, we have a responsibility to extend warm hand and welcome back home to African in diaspora. Kenyans, the cradle of mankind, is attractive to African Americans who are willing to invest and retire in our country, warm tropical climate. They only need a modernity and well-defined qualification to gain Kenyan residence, and we count on you, on your leadership to make this happen. Again, asante sana, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Tafadhali makofi to our leadership, as he sits down, I'll be inviting two of our main sponsors for this event, and Your Excellency, want to let you know that a lot of Kenyan companies are really coming to the U.S. and opening markets for the diaspora. And at this moment, I'll be inviting Mr. Peter Dengo, CEO of Safaricom, and he'll be followed right by Station Kintai, MDKCB, as when Dengo comes to address this. I also want to stage Mheshimiwa Rais. Diaspora wanakura, hata niongee Kiswahili kidogo, mimi ni mwanasiasa kidogo, na bila naendelea kupiga pia, ukiangalia watu wa Georgia, kama mimi natoka Minnesota, hiyo tuangalie pia hapo hiyo Minnesota kidogo, because the whole world is watching today. Na bado nataka hiyo kura ya kwanza nizuru ni Minnesota. Mr. President,
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, High Excellency, Madam Rachel Ruto, invited guests, good afternoon and good evening. So, Your Excellency, some of us were left at the event at the CTC. We didn't have the escort you had, so we were a bit late, but delighted to be here. My name is Peter Degwa. I'm the Safaricom CEO, and I'm happy to be one of the sponsors tonight. So I wanted to just make a couple of comments, Your Excellency. We are happy as the private sector to be accompanying His Excellency the President during this historical visit to the US, and also very happy to be meeting a lot of the diaspora that live in the US. In my past, I worked not worked in the US, but I worked in Europe and also in some parts of Africa, and I understand how being a diaspora is. But I really want to thank Your Excellency and also your government for allowing private sector to accompany you to this historical visit. It shows really your commitment to the partnership between private sector and also the government of Kenya. We are happy to support you to deliver the significant objectives that you have for your government. In particular for me, coming from the ICT sector as Safaricom, I'm delighted to be one of the partners that we work with the government to support the digitalization and build Kenya to make sure no one is left behind. Second, I want to thank the diaspora for showing up here in a big way, and also you play a very, very important role as owners and also pioneers of M-Pesa. The Kenya diaspora contributes significantly. We terminate about $4 billion of returns into Kenya as part of diaspora money that is sent, and it plays a very important role in the process of earning Kenya foreign exchange, but also supporting families back home. So, Your Excellency, Safaricom is delighted to partner with the government as the largest ICT company in the region, and also in digitizing Kenya. Your Excellency, part of our trip here as Safaricom is also to see the investors that invest in the share of Safaricom and other stock exchanges, so we are going to be also visiting some of those in New York. I encourage diaspora to buy shares of the Nairobi Stock Exchange. As you know, at the moment, shares are understated, and I know there has been a lot of flows back into the West from some of the emerging markets. I don't want to tell you whether Safaricom is undervalued at this stage. It's for you to determine, but I would say as a stock exchange, we're an attractive investment for the people who live abroad, and in particular those from the US. I just wanted to mention that the role of ICT and FinTech, we are the regional hub for ICT in Africa. We are the Silicon Savannah of Africa. We have a mature FinTech environment as pioneer of the M-Pesa. We transact about $15 billion every month through the M-Pesa platform, and we have a strong ecosystem with very, very savvy digital talent, very young people who. So if you want to establish a startup or a business, you're very much in the right place in Nairobi. We have a strong legal and regulatory framework. We have a thriving startup ecosystem in Kenya. And so you can, if you're an investor from the US or if you're a diaspora, you can take advantage of it. We also have significant funding that has come through. So more than 200 startups in the ICT sector, attracting about $800 million of funding in the past couple of years, which is very, very significant. As Safaricom, we play our role, of course, connecting everyone, supporting the digitization of Kenya, but also we play a very big role as the biggest supporter of community in Kenya. We have two foundations that are the biggest in the country. We also are the biggest supporter of sports. So football, we support athletics. So this year, lead up to the Olympics, you see us supporting athletics. And also later on this week, we are going to be talking about supporting basketball, which is, I know it has been a big sport in the past, and needs to continue to be established in our schools. And finally, there's a lot of opportunity for infrastructure development. We just set up the first device assembly, local device assembly in the region in Kenya to support giving smart devices at the right price in order for us to accelerate access to the internet. We operate an ecosystem of fintech that allows private sector players, especially startups, to connect to our ecosystem, especially through APIs. And also we are involved with the government in many ways in supporting the digitization in fintech, in agri-tech, in education, but also in healthcare, which Your Excellency you are speaking about today. So digitization allows us to use data for innovation and also to be a very, very attractive regional hub. So very delighted to be involved with this forum this week and delighted to continue to support for the benefit, to continue to support the ICT development in the region for the benefit of the country. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to engaging many of you. And I know some of you may have issues to do with connecting with your families back home. Very happy to connect and see some of the issues that we should resolve for diaspora. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. That is Safaricom. At this moment, and as Shield of validating KCB, I'm only giving you only 2 minutes. And this one you're going to play this one at Safaricom. I also want to remind everybody, I know it's a weekday. We have dinner that you're going to be served, and the waiters will serve you that, and I'll give you instructions once you get to that session. Also want to remind everybody too as well, I know those who are still sitting outside, we have some seats. Tafadhali meza kuketi. Karibu.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, Her Excellency Mama Rachel, it's a great honor to be here this evening. And allow me just to mention a few things. Currently, we are enjoying a stable shilling, moderate inflation rate, and a positive investor sentiment that continues to support the strong performance of our economy in the country. High inter-Africa trade is a key driver for growth and development in the continent. Inter-Africa trade accounts only for 14% of the total trade in Africa, which is low compared to high inter-trade in Europe, Latin America, Europe, and Asian communities. This rapid growth creates an opportunity for economic transformation as an African basket and domestic competitiveness strengthened. So this gives us an opportunity as diasporians to invest back at home. Improved digital connectivity coupled with a comprehensive enabling environment has the potential to reduce trade by up to 25%. African connectivity infrastructure, though still lagging a bit behind, is growing in a very tremendous rate and has the ability for you to do trade globally. The African Continental Free Trade Area offers great opportunity for you to invest back at home. It serves as a beacon of hope, offering significant opportunities for businesses across the continent. Partnership between private and public sectors does play a bigger role in facilitating trade. To this end, we have signed up to the Pan-Africa Payment and Settlement System in a movement to facilitate trade and to ease some of the complexity benefits that the traditional payment platform did have. The state-of-the-art payment and the banking system has enabled the banks to offer real-time banking transactions across East Africa. The platform not only enabled the customers to enjoy cross-border transactions, but also real-time. In conclusion, the fact is that Kenya is on the move. It's one of the fastest growing countries in the region and is poised to dictate the trajectory that East Africa economy will take in the coming decades. A revolution that is being driven by its youthful population. Today, the world sees us as a country of opportunity, and everyone is keen to forge a profitable partnership with Kenya. The diaspora community plays a positive role of transferring skills, bringing the much-needed innovation and entrepreneurship skills to our country, adding up the financial remittance that we have continued enjoying. And allow me to invite all the diasporans to join us as we open doors of opportunities. From yesterday, Your Excellency, we were here at Atlanta. We will thereafter move to Missouri, Shepherds, Minnesota, Dallas, New Jersey, Los Angeles, Alabama, Tennessee, to enable economic inclusivity for our diasporans. Rupa's award all the Kenyans within these cities and states to engage with us as we enable each and every one of them take advantage of this exciting opportunity for our country, Kenya. May God bless you all. May God bless our beloved country, Kenya, and thank you most sincerely.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Mutari. At this moment, I want to introduce the next person to make her remarks. And as I introduce the next person, on behalf of all the aspirants, Your Excellency, we really want to thank you because for the first time in diaspora, you appointed one of us, you gave us what we cried for when we were all coining the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza. For the first time, we have the State Department of Diaspora Affairs. What do you say, parents? Tafadhali tumshukuru Rais. At this moment is let me say this. At this moment, it is on behalf of all diasporans our pleasure to introduce the one and only PS, who you can reach any time of the night. You can call her, you can email her, you can be able to, any Kenyan who's in distress, she answers our calls. And the diaspora PS, Madam PS Jojo. Tafadhali mkaribisha Madam PS Jojo, and then she will also welcome the CS of Foreign Affairs, the Prime Cabinet Minister, and then after that she's also going to be moderating a panel, so I'll let her run this session. It's my pleasure to serve you. I'm Sammy Riri. God bless you all. And then I'll come for questions and answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam. Good evening, diaspora. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here, Your Excellency, and all protocols observed. Allow me, realizing that time is really gone and that there is much to do, allow me to welcome you to the Diaspora Tech Investment Expo here at Coke Galleria Center in Atlanta, Georgia. And allow me really quickly, Your Excellency, to recognize not just the Cabinet Secretaries that are present today, including my boss, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, and the Honorable Governors, Honorable MPs, and other Cabinet Secretaries. Allow me really quickly, Your Excellency, to just recognize the Principal Secretaries, my colleagues, who are here. You could please quickly stand and wave to everybody. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, today marks a significant convergence of innovation and opportunity, where leaders and visionaries from across the globe have come together to explore the forefront of technological advancement and investment potential in the heart of one of America's most dynamic cities. Your Excellency, your presence here today is testimony of your great love and commitment to this Kenyan diaspora, through which the diaspora are now a great force and voice in actualizing the bottom-up economic transformation agenda and enriching and creating international jobs and diaspora jobs for our people with opportunities to work abroad in various ways. Your Excellency, in one of our conversations about diaspora, when we discussed the fact that Pearson View had set up a center in Kenya, and now Kenyans are able to take nursing exams for them to be able to do, to take up opportunities abroad. And I mentioned to you that the only reason we were able to do that is because of the intervention of certain diaspora. Your Excellency, you asked me if I know who those diaspora are by name. Bila Kuma, if you would kindly stand so that we can recognize you. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like us to recognize Bila Kuma and other diaspora from Minnesota who worked very hard to ensure that Pearson View set up a center in Kenya and allow us to be able to do this. I do this, Your Excellency, for us to recognize the work that he has done, but also to show the power that is in this room in terms of what our diaspora have been able to do and continue to do to deliver on our agenda. Your Excellency, I don't wish to speak much because we have a panel here, and if you allow a slight change of the program, I think we'll move quickly into the panel, and then the Prime Cabinet Secretary will speak and invite His Excellency. Allow me to say, Your Excellency, that you asked in December we spoke about during the Diaspora Investment Conference about the 4 things that we are now inviting our diaspora to do. Having set up a firm foundation for the protection of our diaspora rights, which, as you have heard, we've exemplified through our work here in the mobile consular services and serving our diaspora, we ask them to invest back home, to be involved in technology, skills, and knowledge transfer. We ask them to help open up trade routes, and we ask them, Your Excellency, to be a part of the diaspora jobs conversation. Your Excellency, the diaspora here in the US has responded in a big way answering that. So allow me to finish by applauding the diaspora leadership here in Atlanta and really in the US at large for rallying Kenyans in the US to take part in this important event. I am aware that many of you have traveled from all the different corners of the US to come to this event, and I'm very, very proud of you. So, Your Excellency, it is now my honor and pleasure really to invite the panel to come here very quickly for a short conversation, after which I will hand over the program to my boss, Prime Cabinet Secretary. Dr. Dalili, let us recognize the Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Waziri Rebecca Miano. P.S. John Tatui, and Dr. David, who is the CEO of WIRE. Very well. So really quickly, perhaps we could start the conversation with what has been the journey of investing for a diasporian, of investing back home. I will start with you, Bill. Maybe you can speak a little bit to that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam PS, Your Excellency, Madam Excellency Dr. Ruto, Madam Rachel, all protocols officers. Thank you very much. As Madam PS said, the journey of, we've been in the US for a while, 20 some years, and we thought it fair for us to really look for something that is going to help every Kenyan in every way. So for the last 7 years, at least, we tried to rally the Pearson board to really convince them that Kenya is the way to go. And during that time, we had Nigeria wanted, Pearson's boy, Zambia wanted it, but because we have a strong diaspora connection in Minnesota, where we're from, and with the help of Mr. Nuhu, who is a state representative there, and other people like Dr. Faria Farah, Collins Paranga, and all of them, we really tried to say that most good nurses, most nursing assistants that work in this healthcare industry comes from Kenya. And the reason is also Pearson's boy is headquartered in Minnesota. And Minnesota has about 10, 15, 540 companies. So the journey of doing it is collectively. I know there was a panel here that said that we need to partner and collaborate. So what we looked at is holistically, what is it that we can do, not as one, but as a group, so that we can help all Kenyans. The journey was not easy, Madam Peers, but we were able to make it, to get it done.
And maybe would you say something, Bill, about having been able to set up Pearson View in Kenya? A lot of other business we have seen and investment has happened around that particular infrastructure. I am aware that you and partners of yours actually were able to set up businesses around Pearson View. Could you tell us a little bit about that very quickly?
Yeah, so once we took Pearson to Kenya, we also set up our own recruiting company called Redcare, which is actually a supplemental staffing that recruits and trains nurses to come to the US. But the journey, and I had a conversation with Madam Pierce, the journey was not easy because of, trying to penetrate in a country that you are not living in was very, very difficult. And there are things like trying to have things like licenses, which legal realm of that. It was also very hard for us to really figure out even where to set up the office itself. So as diasporians, and I'm very, very grateful that through Madam Pierce's office, we were able to communicate, like some say, this is an office where you can call in the middle of the night and they answer the phone. Or even a text. How can you text a PS? But the PS answers your text. So because of that, we were able to even if the diaspora ministry is very new, I'm telling you that Kenya is really going places with this diaspora ministry.
Thank you, Bill. So let me pick up on that in terms of doing business, the ease of doing business in Kenya and the investment infrastructure that we have done. Perhaps Madam Waziri, if you could tell us a little bit about what we have done, or what the ministry has done in terms of making it easy for diaspora to invest and to do business back home.
Thank you very much, PS. And I want to confirm that the PS diaspora takes care of your welfare, and my role is to take care of your investments. And we recognize that the investor journey is very important. From when you make a decision to invest in Kenya up to when you seal the deal, what we have done, we have an organization, Kenyan Investment Authority, that is responsible for the investments. I would like to say what we intend to do, because from the website you have seen opportunities that are available, the processes, but we realize that we are not yet there completely. We need to leverage on technology so that when any of you as investors make a decision to invest in Kenya, you can find the journey well put, from finding opportunities available, registration of a company, information information about taxes and everything that we need to do. We are partnering with UNDP to come up with a one-stop, one-go, an improved one-stop, one-go, where all this will be having ease of business. We also know that there is another journey of your remittances that you need to know, and M-Pesa is currently working on a process where payments can be sent to businesses, that they can be sent, if you have a contractor, it can be sent directly, and in the coming months, I am sure that that will be a very good addition to your remittances. We know if you use M-Pesa currently, you can only send to an individual, but in the next couple of months, that will strengthen your remittance journey.
Much, Waziri. And maybe I go to PS Tanui. PS, in this diaspora investment platform that we've been having conversations today, one of the questions has consistently been, are there opportunities in technology for diaspora to invest in? Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that, and then Dr. Washira, I'll come to you with a question about remittances. Yes.
Thank you very much. In the technology space,